My dad used to get mad at me. What's wrong with this buck track? Don't like it. It ain't big enough. It ain't old enough. I can tell how old the deer is pretty much by looking at the track after you follow it a while. That was a big controversy. I don't know if we talked about this on the last broadcast, but I grew up in Waterbury, Vermont, and that was a big talk way back when I was a kid. There's no way a human being can run a deer down. Well, it's true, you can. There's no question about that. If you had a 26-mile race out here and you put a deer out there, the deer ain't going to last 26 miles.
Yeah.
I tell you right now, the good human being is going to run right by the deer.
Yeah.
The deer's going to start out like this, and about 8 or 10 miles later, he's going to go.
He's going to tire himself out.
He's going to go right by that deer.
Yeah.
Deer ain't going to make it. His tongue's going to be hanging out. That's when you know he's done, pretty much. I've shot a bunch of them with their tongues hanging out the side. What does that tell you? They're done. They don't want to run no more.
Yeah.
That used to be the big controversy in town. Ain't no way somebody can run a deer down. I have. I ran a few of them down.
Is there one lesson that you wish every young hunter could truly understand? Not just hear, but understand.
Yep. It's kind of complicated a little bit. I don't think that you should... I don't think you should enjoy killing a deer too much. I don't think you should enjoy taking any life too much.
Yeah.
So have some respect for the deer that you killed. And I always wanted them dead when I went up there and looked at them.
Yeah.
I didn't want them looking at me. And I got to shoot them again.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I think that the best thing is when you go up there, they're done.
Today we've got Lanny Benoit back for another episode of the Living Legend series. We talk about the remarkable life that Lanny has lived so far and the incredible accomplishments he's been able to achieve despite only having a third-grade education. Lanny is proof that hard work and determination can get you anywhere you want in life. He's known as one of the best, if not the best, deer hunters to ever live. He's risen to the top of the skeet shooting world, winning many championships and holding state records. He's got a need for speed, we know that, loving the adrenaline rush of fast things, which led him to a prestigious snowmobile racing career where many consider him to be one of the best to ever do it in that field. We talk about some recent health scares that Lanny has had and how he's dealt with it. We touch on his life and his legacy and how he most wants to be remembered. And we get into some deer hunting stories, philosophical questions, and tips and tricks to help you on your next hunt. Don't forget to come see Lanny at Huntstock August 8th, 9th, and 10th at Wildwood Farm in Westminster, Massachusetts, where he'll be delivering seminars on Friday and Saturday. And don't forget to enter to win the OnX Legends Deer Camp giveaway, where you can share a deer camp with Lanny, Rick Labby, and Dan Infault for 3 nights this upcoming season. It's free to enter. You'll find the links in the YouTube description on how to enter, or you can simply go to www.huntstockevents.com/deer-camp-giveaway. And now, let's get into this podcast with my good friend, Lanny Benoit. Okay, welcome back to the Hunt Suburbia podcast, Living Legend series, part 2 with Lanny Benoit. I think it was 4 years ago, something about that, when we did that first one.
Right.
And we're back here up at the lake. We're in a different spot. But, man, a lot has happened in the 4 years since we did that first podcast. I think maybe we should spend some time just updating people on life, you know? What's changed in the last 4 years for you, Lanny?
Well, what I have to do is I got to thank you an awful lot because I was I kind of got out of the deer hunting world and I was off by myself doing, not really paying much attention. Yeah, people recognized me and people wanted to talk to me still. But since I did the podcast and started going back to some shows and we started the deer hunting school up again and now it's a whole new thing again. I think I've got more people interested in what I have to say And it seems to be working out way better than it was before. Even though there's way more competition now than there was a few years ago, but I seem to be getting a lot more recognition, and it's thanks to you guys too. You've helped a lot on that. So, and then a lot has gone that I've done since then, different things.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. It was really fun doing that podcast, and that podcast, you know, we were just talking before we started recording this. You know, there's friendships, relationships, things have to be mutual, right? And having you on the podcast, that was the first big one that we really did. I think we were getting, 5,000 listeners or something on average before that. And, that one's, if you add all the three, it was a 3-part series. Now I just do them in 1 part, and that seems to be doing better. I've learned along the way a little bit here too, but you add them up, you're over a couple 100,000 views on that video. And, we gained a lot of subscribers from it. And then having you at Huntstock the first year, that was a big help too. And so I think everything, happens for a reason and works out. And no, I appreciate it, but I got to thank you too. I mean, it was a pleasure doing that first podcast. I've wanted to do another one with you for years, and just time gets away from you,
Yeah, it worked out for both of us, and that's the thing too, is when you do these shows and you take someone like yourself, it's a year-round project putting a show on. So, and we have to work together to make the show better, and I'm all about making the show bigger and better for everybody. And don't matter if we're in the same kind of, say, other deer hunters. Yeah, we have to have a variety of deer hunters to make the show good. We have to have a variety of rabbit hunters and turkeys.
Yeah, a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to all work together on that to make the shows better. So.
Yep.
And I'm all into that. So I like more deer hunters too, because it gives people more insight. Like Rick Labby and I've done some stuff together, and he'll talk about one thing that I've never really tried that, and then I talk about some stuff that I have that he really hasn't tried. But the listeners get to listen to that, so they learn a little bit more from everybody. I'm a firm believer that if you're really into deer hunting, it don't matter if you're sitting and tracking or how old you are, you should listen to everybody and sift through it to make it work for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you can pull something from from every single podcast you might listen to or seminar, even if you walk away with one thing. One thing that you think about next time you're out deer hunting. That's beneficial to everybody. Why don't we, what I want to do is, I want to try to not cover a bunch of stuff that we did on the first one and talk about, maybe we'll bring up some stories you hadn't talked about. We'll get definitely into some strategy, but let's talk about the last 4 years, what's been going on in our lives a little bit. You had a stroke recently, and I know that's been on your mind a little bit. Just kind of, how has that changed your life? Why don't you tell everybody about your stroke experience and what happened there?
Well, stroke is a pretty serious thing, and the stroke I had, yeah, it was serious, but in another sense, it helped me quite a bit in other ways, and in another sense, it was kind of funny, this stroke thing. That sounds weird, or it doesn't sound right, but actually I was having fun with it too at the same time. And this is how it all started. I come back from deer hunting, and I got to take my wife for a ride because she had some roof put on while I was gone on one of our apartments, and she wanted me to look at it so it'd look all right. So I'm looking at it and sitting in the car and looking at it, and now I got to take her shopping. She says, "What do you think?" Well, I sat there for a minute, and I said to myself, I just couldn't quite figure it out.
Yeah.
I couldn't really answer her. So I thought it was just me. Maybe I don't feel like talking at this moment. I didn't know. So I take her shopping just around the corner, and we're walking around in the store, and she's talking away to me, and she says to me, "How come you ain't answering me?" And I just looked at her and kind of shrugged it off. I didn't realize at that moment I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
So now I take her home, and she says, I'm getting concerned. How come you're not talking to me? And finally it dawned on me, I can't talk. Because I wanted to talk to her something about the driveway, but nothing would come out.
Yeah.
So my speech was gone. And I'm standing there going, what the hell's going on here? And I felt fine. I had no symptoms from a stroke or anything that follows the stroke. I just couldn't talk. So she calls my son in from the garage, and he comes in. Oh, Dad's having a stroke. Let's go. So we headed to the hospital.
Landon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew right off I was having a stroke. I didn't know. I just, something's going. I just knew something was screwed up. So we go up to the hospital, and they go all through the whole thing, and then they send me to Burlington, and this is like 5, 4, 6 o'clock or so, and I get in the ambulance. Them guys are talking to me. I'm getting flustered because I can't talk back. Lanny can't talk? Really? How's that possible? So I'm in the hospital, and my wife and my son Landon, and they stayed there until 10 o'clock. Well, just before they left, I could tell that I can start to talk again. But then they left on me, so I didn't really have a chance to talk to them. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, nurse come in, and I said, hi. And she looked at me. You talked. I started laughing about it because I could tell I could talk again. So she's like, what the hell, you can talk? She was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Because they just brought me in.
Yeah.
A few hours before that. Now all of a sudden I'm talking just like I am to you. So it's kind of comical. And then the next day, people come in, I'm talking away to them. And they're looking at me, what? You're talking. So I'm kind of making a joke out of it. So then Glenn and Timmy showed up because they're all concerned. They come whipping in. You can tell they're all really concerned about what's going on. I started talking to them. They look at me. You don't seem any different. I don't feel any different either. And the whole time I never felt any different. Nothing. I guess I lost some neurons or something in my brain. A little gray spot there where they used to be.
Yeah.
They showed me on the x-rays. They used to have them, now they're gone, but the other ones took over. I go, that's good. I've got little helpers. Got little helpers in there. So now on the third day, they come whipping in with a wheelchair. I looked at that, and I said, what are you doing to that? Oh, we're going to put you in that and bring you upstairs because you're not in the emergency room no more. I said, I ain't getting in no wheelchair. I said, I'm going to walk up there. You ain't putting me in that until I really got to go in there. So I walked all the way up. And pretty soon this young nurse come into my room, and I don't know exactly how to say this, but she says to me, I'm assigned to you the rest of the day, and I just want to make sure you're comfortable in everything you got to do. And I was instructed to put you in the shower and give you a sponge bath. I looked at that young one, I said, that ain't happening. I'm going to take a shower today, but you ain't helping me with nothing. I'll be all set. I don't need to know, I'm fine. Well, she's looking at me like I'm like I really had a bad stroke.
Yeah.
And any stroke is bad no matter what. You can't make fun of it. But just things went on where... So John LaBerge called me up, and he was all upset because I'm supposed to do seminars at his show coming up a month or two later. So he called me on my cell phone. I started talking to him. Well, you sound okay. Yeah, I'll be all set. You're all set. Don't worry about it. So here I am.
Well, you seem to recover from stuff.
I do.
Like, incredibly. Like, your body's there's something inside the Benoit blood or something that heals you fast. Because you had a kidney issue?
My kidneys...
A couple years ago?
Actually, what happened was, I'm going to blame all this stuff on the Cronus shot that I had. And I know I shouldn't say this on this thing, but right after I took the Cronus shot, or just before I took the Cronus shot, I had a complete physical. Everything was fine. I get the Cronus shot. For some reason, I don't know why, they did some kind of a blood test on me. Come to find out, They're looking at it and go, oh my gosh, you're in stage 4 with my kidneys. I said, what are you talking about?
Stage 4 kidney failure?
Yeah. I said, what are you talking about, stage 4? Just a little while ago, a month or so ago, I was fine.
Yeah.
How can I be in stage 4? So I got all panic over that. That scared me more than the stroke. So I started going on all this diet and everything and all kinds of stuff going on. And so I go back up to get checked again and talk to a nutrition person about somebody that's in stage 4 with kidneys. And I had a blood test done the same time, another blood test. Well, you're only in stage 2 right now. Really? Here's what I want you to do. Just go back.
You're going backwards.
Yeah, I'm going the other way, getting better.
Yeah.
So she says, here's what I want you to do. You go back home and eat normal again, and next month we'll do another test on you. So I went back to eating normal, and I'd go back, and kidneys are perfect again.
Stage 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to 0. How's that happen? Never heard of such a thing. Kidneys don't get better once they're bad. So
It's crazy.
So they didn't do the test wrong because you could see it, but something caused that little failure right there, and I blame it on the Corona shot, and that's what happened. So a lot of my friends had strokes since they've had the Corona shot too, and I don't mean to talk about that on here, but I had a stroke. And
and my mother-in-law just had a stroke. She had the COVID shot. There's a lot of weirdness happening around that.
all my friends that are my age took the Corona shot. They
Yeah.
all had strokes.
Yeah.
AFib and strokes.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
How's that? They must be inundated with people having strokes all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Older people.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm going to talk about the stroke some more. I'm going to go crawl around on some mountains this year. I found some really nice big bucks on some big mountain ranges. And I talked about Glenn that hunts with me. And we're riding down the road going to a deer hunting school or wherever we're going. And I said, you're going to be concerned about me this year, aren't you? Yeah. He said, you're going to be up there walking around after you've had a stroke. What happens if you have a stroke up there walking around? I said, well, I'll bring a lot of aspirins with me. I hear you chew those up. It helps the stroke. But I'm still going up there. I'm not going to quit walking around the mountains because I had a stroke.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it's going to be. I flop over. That's it. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think I'll be fine.
Well, I think like we were talking about on the phone the other day, there's worse, I think if that's where you ended up dying on top of a big mountain, chasing a buck, isn't that kind of what you would dream?
Yeah. So what's good about having the stroke, we haven't really talked about the good part. I know we're carrying this stroke thing on quite a ways. But here's a guy sitting here that's had alcohol in his system ever since I was 16, 17, 18 years old. I've drank my whole life. And I quit just like that when I had the stroke. So I haven't had anything now for 6 months or more. Whenever December is, I don't keep track of the months. But I haven't had a drop of any alcohol.
That's good.
I quit chewing tobacco. My wind has come back way better than I had before, walking up and down a hill. I'm losing weight. So I think I'm going to be in really good shape by the time, as good a shape as you can get at my age. So I know I'm going to be able to walk around up there all day long on that mountaintop. And that's what I really want to do. And I'm going to do it. That's just the way it's going to work.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get lost. I'm not worried about that. I really want to go up there because I found a really big buck last year. He'll go 250, 275, and got great big antlers on his head, big things on the bottom. The only thing that bothers me is the loggers saw it.
And he's the talk of the town now.
Yeah,
huh?
they've been telling everybody in town about that great big buck up there, and nobody knew about him last year when I found him. Now the whole town knows, but don't matter. I'm still going up there because there's other big ones up there too.
Boy, that would be just awesome if you end up getting that buck. I mean, I don't know how many more years you're gonna keep wanting to hunt or keep hunting, but getting a big old buck like that, At 80? Will you be 80 at that point?
No, but I'll be awful close to it.
Yeah.
February is when I turn 80. I'm 79 right now. But I don't feel like that I'm that age. I mean,
No.
been putting siding on out in the hot sun every day. I kind of quit around noon one when it gets up to 95 degrees. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't. I got better windage than I had last year, the year before. I feel fine.
Yeah, you're going to be in better shape maybe than you were 5 years ago.
I think so.
You know?
Just because what happened was I started eating way too much and gaining weight, and now I've lost a bunch of weight and I'm going to lose some more.
And then everybody was buying you tons of beers at Huntstock. So, hey, this year at Huntstock, don't be buying Lanny beers. He's off. He's not drinking anymore. Get him some soft drinks.
Yeah. A couple of years ago there, I was up until 1:30 in the morning drinking beer and eating steak. I'm not complaining, but it was, So I'm going to miss the beer drinking, but it's okay.
Yeah. So,
As long as I can, as long as I lug my gun around, I'll be happy.
yeah. So
I could have been shooting. I want everybody to know I could have shot a deer probably every single year since I stopped shooting deer. But the problem is, I don't care about shooting a 150-pound buck or small antler buck. And I don't mind shooting a big buck with small antlers as long as he's over 200. But I mean, I have an awful time shooting a small buck, so I can't do that.
you want one that excites you at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. It's like a friend of mine hunting. I took him hunting last year. We're on this snowmobile trail and been no vehicles on it for a long time. And we come to a really good spot. And I got out and I showed him some rubs there. I said, you walk up this old logging road here, it's skid trail, and you find all kinds of scrapes up in there. There's no reason you can't shoot a decent buck up there next few days. Well, he shot one at 10 o'clock, but there was quite a few smaller bucks in there. Nothing I wanted to shoot. And Glenn and I kept going into a spot where we were hoping there'd be a big one, and every morning there'd be 3 or 4 small bucks there every morning, just like clockwork. These little guys. Nice deer. But they were there every morning we go in there. Looking for a big one, nothing showed, so we stopped going there.
Why don't you talk a little bit about Vermont and how Vermont's changed? Because you said, it's awful hard now to find a buck that excites you in Vermont.
I think if you hunted high on the mountains and don't give up, you'll find a good-sized buck, 200-pounder somewheres. But the problem is, way back in the woods, the woods are smaller than they used to be. There's not many deer anymore way back in because Vermont has gone to, I guess you can shoot 4 deer a year, and people ride around and there's a doe there and they shoot the deer, and then the next guy goes up, shoots another one, and now all the deer hanging right around the towns pretty much. You go around Montpelier, I don't care where you go. I went from the New Hampshire border over towards New York. I hit every road you could possibly four-wheel on, all through J. Montgomery, whatever. When you got out of town, you stopped seeing deer tracks. There's a few, but what I recommend, there's always some big ones on the top of them mountains. So Hazen's Notch is a really good spot to hunt. And when you're leaving Montgomery and you hunt on the left side as you're going up, that wouldn't be bad. And even the long trail wouldn't be bad either if you walked that.
Yeah.
And somewhere there's some big ones, but I'm just going to hunt Maine, I think, pretty much.
Yeah. And then Massachusetts, the last 3 days of the season.
Oh, yeah, that's right, too. I got to go to Massachusetts. It's a 3-day hunt?
Yeah. It's the last 3 days of the year, the 29th, 30th, and 31st.
That sounds, I kind of like that.
Yeah. I think it'll be cool. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the podcast.
Can I get somebody to buy my hunting license for me?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm just making a joke out of that.
Of course. OnX is going to cover that. But yeah, but we'll talk about that OnX hunt later on in the podcast. But I want to stick with Vermont for a little bit because you're talking about the population and go shoot a doe here, shoot a doe there. I was talking with my uncle a couple weeks ago, and around our deer camp, generally there's been good deer population there. The last 10 years it's been pretty good, but last year there was hardly any deer in the woods, and he had a doe permit during muzzleloader, had an opportunity to shoot, but he's just like, I'm not taking another doe out of the woods. So he could feel that we had a population problem there. But the problem is across the state, you can't get everybody. Not everybody's thinking like that. Everybody just wants to get a deer, so they get the opportunity. They shoot them.
Well, they like deer meat too.
Yeah, and now what we were talking about is did you hear that Vermont's going to bring back the ability to shoot does during rifle season, which they did back, I don't know, it was the 70s or 80s, and that killed, that just put a huge detriment on the population. If you look at the list on our deer camp wall, there was many years there where there were no deer killed because the woods just got, people overshot deer. If you're going to bring back the ability to shoot does with rifles, I think we're going to be in for a big problem.
Here's the thing. If you go to some of these deer camps that's been there since the 50s, and you walk in there and you see all these nice big racks all hung up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
That don't happen no more. That day's gone. It's impossible to do that now. Back when I was a kid, you could find a decent buck on just about any mountaintop you went on. No question. I saw a lot of nice bucks in the state of Vermont years ago, and now it's hard to find them big tracks because they're not there. When I go up to the Northeast Kingdom, like, what's the name of that big swamp up there? Oh, I can't think. Off on Route 2. Go into Maidstone and all crossed all there, Norton. And you drive all day on the power line up there, and you hardly even find a deer track after the snow is a week old. What does that tell you? What's your chances of shooting a big buck up there? I drove a couple of years ago. I drove all them roads up there. Hardly no deer. Not that you find deer on the roads all the time, crisscrossing, but what happens is when the rut starts and the doe go across the road, when people say, well, the deer are smart, they don't touch the roads. Well, that's not true. When the rut starts and wherever the doe goes, the buck follows. And a lot of them does, they don't mind crossing the roads, but there's nothing crossing the road anywhere up there to speak of. So you're right. What's happened is, and I blame the state of Vermont for this a little bit, they could put some money into the Fish and Game Department so we didn't have to sell off our deer herd. That's what they're doing, they're selling the deer herd off to keep going. The Fish and Game Department ain't got no choice. They have to sell more tickets and more hunt licenses so we can keep a Fish and Game Department going.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem. So the state of Vermont should give them some money to operate on so our deer herd would come back. The woods ain't changed that much through the years.
Yeah, Vermont's got some pretty strong building laws. What is it called? Act something, I forget. But in places like Massachusetts, you don't have that. There's just land it's getting developed everywhere. Old farms getting bought up, land getting developed. But Vermont does seem to have stayed pretty much the same.
You've got some nice big mountain ranges. You just got to get up higher. Because what happens in the summertime, too...
Or it sounds like you got to just get closer to the towns, almost.
Yeah, closer to the towns. Well, that happened to me a few years ago. I was way over in Bloomfield, over by the Gibbo, up around Montgomery way, somewhere's up there. I was close to some little town. drove up a little skid road or logging road or something. I looked out and, God, look at this buck track. That's not too bad a buck. Looked like it'd go 180 pounds or so. It was muzzleloader season. I said, so the guy riding with me, I said, if you don't mind sitting here, you can go with me if you want. I'm going to follow this buck for a ways. I followed the buck for a ways, and I look, and there's a driveway. So I circled around, went down the driveway and back around, found the track. A little ways further, another driveway. I said, wow. When I came to the third driveway, I went back to my rig and drove off. It's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's the last thing people want to see is a guy sneaking across their front lawn following a deer track.
Yeah.
And that's not my kind of hunting.
Yeah. But Maine, how do you think Maine is kind of shaking up these days?
Maine's still got some nice big deer, and they've still got some good-sized chunks of land to hunt. The problem is, here's what you got to do. You got to get away from these three spots. In my opinion, there's three places you got to get away from. Let me tell you where they are.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Augusta.
No. So I ask people. They tell me, "Oh, I'm going to Maine this year." I said, "Well, where are you going?" They name one of these three places they're going.
Jackman.
Jackman's one. Rangeley's the next one. Tim Pond's the next one.
Yeah.
That's where everybody goes.
Yeah.
So I'm way off over in some mountain range way south of. We had some snow that day, but there was no snow way off where I was. But you could look way over, and you could see the mountain range on Tim Pond. But there's snow on it.
Yep.
So the guy riding with me, oh, geez, Lanny, how come we don't go up there? There's snow over there. I said, do you realize how many people are at Tim Pond right now? All of Rangeley's going to be up there. Everywhere is going to be up there. There's snow up there.
Yeah.
And even if it snowed everywhere, there's tons of people that hunt Tim Pond Road. It's crazy. But he kept bugging me. I said, all right. It's not too late in the day. It's right around 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I said, we'll just zoom up there. So I zoomed up. Every 100 yards, I met a truck coming towards me when I got up there. Every 100 yards on the road. Then one time, they had this big parade going of Vermonters. And there must have been 10 trucks all lined up in a row going by. I just see this, why do you want to come up here? Every parking place, there was a hunter in it. Guys crawling all over every ridge.
Yeah, you got to just find the overlooked spots.
Absolutely, you do. And a lot of people don't realize next to the coast, even though it don't get snow there, a lot more deer there than there is back in the big country.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to hunt the big country because I got a few spots that I've found that nobody's getting into right now. So I got to go hunt those places.
And where's the place in New Hampshire that everybody goes?
Pittsburgh.
Exactly. You ask somebody where they're going, everybody just goes to Pittsburgh.
Well, that's what they're doing up around that country. You know, I don't care. I mean, it's just so many hunters. And I took a guy a few years ago just to show you what's going on. I took this guy for a week. I can't remember his name, and I probably shouldn't say it anyways, but he hung up a camera over by Grand Falls. Right side the road, and there was a cut just down the road from there. Who would have thought a deer was going to go by there all the time where he hung this camera up? Every day, it was one of them where you got signal to your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Every day his phone would go off, showing a deer going by his camera. For a week, all them deer would go by, one or two, go by there from 3 to 4:30. There was $9 that went front by that freaking camera right side the road. $9. And there weren't one of them that I would have shot my gun at.
Yeah.
They're all 2.5 and younger. It might have been a couple 3-year-olds with no horns.
Yep.
But one of them weren't too bad. But they're all 2.5 deer. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants the big buck, and they. But, so if you want to shoot a deer, you go by Grand Falls. It's like some of the places I was hunting last year, where I was finding all kinds of deer, but they're all young ones. I don't want to shoot those things. I still like going hunting. I'm not going to quit hunting because of it, but
Have you ever hunted Massachusetts?
no.
No. Massachusetts is pretty unique because there's not a lot of hunters there, and it makes for big bucks because there's a lot of Massachusetts is like Vermont. And you get out in the western part of the state, you got mountain ranges, you got some good tracking opportunities if there's snow. I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised with the woods out there.
I think I am too, because I've talked to a lot of people that hunt down there, and they all come back and they got nothing but good to say about the place.
We got age, the deer get older.
Yep.
It's just because we don't have a lot of hunters. And for whatever reason, there's a lot of people in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine that just hate the state of Massachusetts and don't want to cross the border. They don't even want to come down and cross the border. There's a lot of that happening.
So we're going to shoot with muzzleloaders when I go down? Is that what we're doing?
Yep, muzzleloader season. Yeah, so we'll mention that to everybody. You probably have heard about it so far, but we're doing the OnX Legends Deer Camp. It was an idea that we've been thinking about for years, how we tie in Huntstock and some of the great seminar speakers at Huntstock, get them together into a deer camp, have a great time, share a bunch of camaraderie, and get out and hunt, film some content, shoot some videos around it. And this year is the year we're doing it. December 28th is when everybody's going to check into camp. That's a Sunday, and then we're going to hunt Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And we're doing an online giveaway. You can go to huntstockevents.com and click the menu, go to the Deer Camp giveaway tab, and it's free to enter. And we're going to give away 2 spots at that camp where people are going to be able to share camp with you.
We're going to have 2 people?
2 people. We're going to give 1 away at Huntstock on Saturday from the door prizes, and we're going to give 1 away from the online giveaway. So 2 people are going to get the chance to share camp and share that experience with you. Dan Infault, who's coming out from Wisconsin, he'll be hunting the Northeast for the first time, and Rick Labby, and then there's some other guys from the True North Lifestyle group that'll be coming down too. I think Neil Pendleton, Lee Libby, and I can't remember exactly who's coming. I don't think Joe Cruzy can make it, but a few of those other guys are going to be there, and then myself and Pat Burns, and 2 winners. So I think it's going to be a really awesome experience.
I'd like to have somebody follow me around with a camera just in case I see something I'd like to shoot.
Absolutely.
Actually, I'd like to have someone sit in my Suburban that don't bring a gun, just a camera.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that I'm tagged out by then because it's the very end of our season. Hopefully I don't have any more tags in my pocket and I can follow you around.
Well, I'd like to have someone follow me around for a whole month in Maine.
Oh, yeah.
Because we got all kinds of super stuff that would be really interesting. Because I always get everybody terrified going four-wheeling, so we got some stuff there too.
Well,
and we always see deer.
I think there's going to be, 100,000 people that see this. Maybe not in the next few weeks, but if you're watching this and you've got some skill with a camera and you want to follow Lanny around, you're going to get a bunch of leads. Why don't you send me an email, get in contact with me, and I can put them in contact with you, Lanny, if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Yes, send an email to huntsuburbia@gmail.com if that sounds like something you'd want to do.
I'm looking for somebody that can rough it a little bit. Don't be nervous. Don't worry about where we're going, what we're doing. Don't worry about if the Suburban breaks down and we got to spend the night in the woods. That could happen.
Yeah.
It's just an adventure.
Yeah.
We always have an adventure of some kind.
Yeah. Lanny always gets out of any rough... If you get into a hairy situation, Laney will get you out of it.
Just like Glenn last year. I told him, I said, if we go down by the lake down there, I says, less snow down there because it was up on the mountain. I had about 3 feet. I said, down there, it's probably only 1.5 feet. So we're four-wheeling down in there. And he says, been on this road? I've been on it once. I said, it's a little tricky. I said, when they made this road, it was when the cars were narrower. It's kind of narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And over here, if you look over on the edge, Glenn says, boy, it's awful steep. I said, yeah, it looks like a 3 or 4 rollover. This way, 3 or 4 of those before it stops. He says, what do we do about this ditch coming up that sloped like this? And it's snow on the ground. I said, well, if we slide that way and we start going down over there, we can't stop.
Yeah.
And he said, well, how are you going to go through that? I said, well, here's what's going to happen in a minute. We're going to go to that ditch right there, that water bar. It's not really not a water bar. It used to be a culvert, but it's gone. Or something was there. I said, you're going to take the winch, you're going to hook it on that tree over there. And I'm going to work this and the gas pedal all at the same time. So in case we lose traction with the front end, it can't go like this down over the bank. Because, if you lose it, it goes, once it starts, it don't stop. I said, we're going to slowly winch ourselves through that so the front end can't kick down. He said, oh, yes, I'm serious. Can't hook it up over there. So we're through there. They had a few names for me before we got out of there.
Well, you made it.
Well, we did. But see, you got to have an adventure like that to have fun.
Yeah.
That's just make your heart pound a little bit. And all the time I'm pushing the button, hoping everything, but we didn't have any trouble because it kind of pulled us right through there. The winch did. So.
What are some? Well, why don't we talk about some of the adventures that you've had over your lifetime of hunting? And I don't remember what we talked about in the first podcast, but if I hear you repeating one, we'll go to another one. But what are some of like the craziest situations you've got in?
Well, the craziest one, I think we mentioned it, but we can mention it again, was Phil Scott. Not Phil Scott, but anyways, he's a biologist for the state of Vermont or something.
Yeah.
I came to this bridge and all the things are gone off it. There was 2 logs here and 1 over here. They're big logs. And I looked at it. I said, I think the logs are fine. I think I can cross that. I think I can go right across that. Because these 2 logs are together. And Mr. Scott said, you're crazy. What are you talking about? So I had my friend Jeff get out. And I said, Jeff, line me up and see if the tires fit good. So he lined me up and it was perfect. Tire on that 1 log. And then these 2 logs are together here. And I said, well, just do this to me, back and forth. I think I'll make it across there. Yeah, but it's like 8 feet down. I said, we need some excitement anyway, so fuck it, we're doing it anyways. So last time I saw Scott, he was running around the corner that way with his hands on his ears. I ain't watching this stupid shit. He ran out of sight. Somehow I got across there and everything was good.
And you thought you were going to die.
Well, he comes back peeking around the corner and the Suburban was already on the other side. He said, how are we going to get back now? We'll figure that out later. What happens to road dead ends? We'll figure that out later.
Yeah. That's part of the fun is figuring it out as you go.
Well, you got to have some excitement like that. And we had some excitement last year. We're on this trail. We're in Maine. And I know I shouldn't say this, but I'm on this trail and there's these blue dots on the trees. I said, what the hell is the blue dots? I didn't know what it was. I said, Glenn, look that up. Oh, we're on a hiking trail. A hiking trail? Well, it looks like 4-wheelers have been here because you can see the 4-wheeler tracks. No, this is a hiking trail. Okay. Well, we come to this river, and I looked across this river, and the bank went just like this. It's really steep. And the 4-wheelers went up and went this way. I said, boy, I tell you what, that looks bad right there. I don't know about that. I said, looks like the freaking bumper is going to be dragging because it's really steep and it went up. I said to everybody in the back, Glenn's father was back there, and Glenn said the same thing. Anything that's on the dash, you might as well take off right now. Because when we go up that, it's going to go like this, and it's all going to slide in the back. So hang on to everything. We went up through there, and that Suburban went just like this, like it was made to report that. Freaking, I could not believe that. And I went back down over it just for the thrills about a week or so later. And when I went back down over it coming this way, I looked at my oil pressure gauge, and I said to Glenn, I don't like it when the rig's like this. All the oil goes to the front of the pan. So I looked at the gauge on the dash, and I said, well, we still got oil pressure. That's a good sign. So it was a hiking trail is what it was. But you got to have stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Suburban's got you out of everything through your life, huh?
Well, I got everything in the back. If you get stuck, you can pull it this way, that way. And I got a pump jack, and I got a chainsaw. And got extra cables and extra chains, and so it's pretty impossible to get hung up where you can't go anywhere. Plus, what happens is the minute you put the winch on the front, you get way braver.
Yeah. Well,
So
we've got Chevy coming to the show this year, and I put them next to your booth because I know you love Chevy, and you guys will be right next to each other. Maybe you can work out some sort of a deal with them to get you a Suburban.
well, I just need an old one because I can't have. See, here's the thing is.
You got to be able to beat it up. You don't. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to. If you're gonna do what I'm doing, you can't worry about scratches.
Right.
I always call it going to Maine getting a brush job.
Yeah.
You're getting a brush job, all right, because I go through brush and it's scraping all the mud off. But don't worry about dents. You got to have something like mine's an 04. It's got 200,000 miles on it. Do I mind putting a dent in it? No.
No.
So it's my deer hunting rig. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about dinging anything up or. Biggest thing is when you go four-wheeling is figure out what your vehicle is capable of, and once you figure that out, and don't horse it no matter what. Horsing it don't work good if you're like going up over a log. You got to drive. This is just kind of a tip for people. You got to drive with 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the gas when you're doing some really tough stuff.
Yep.
Because the brake is partially on, and you're pushing it with the gas pedal. That way, say you got a rock like this,
Yeah.
or a tree, you're going over a tree that's just tall on the road, because you don't always cut those up. You can drive over, it's just a waste of time. So have your foot on the brake, and you like this, and you stop right there on top. Don't horse it to go over it. Then you just bump it down the other side, and it hits gently. You don't break anything that way, see? So
That's good.
that's
Yeah.
how you go over rocks and stumps and trees in the road.
Yeah. What other what do you got going on this Saturday with the snowmobile engines and
Oh, we're gonna track 902 sleds. Get ready, and we're gonna go racing in Minnesota, Haydays, Wisconsin, New York. A lot of New York stuff.
'cause I think a lot of people might not realize just how good you are with engines and the inner workings of vehicles, and including snowmobiles. So like what can you tell people about I don't know if we covered this on the last one, but you invented what, a carburetor back
Yep.
in the day?
Yeah, we're still using it. They're on these two sleds that we're gonna race this weekend.
Yeah.
Not this weekend, but coming right up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made my. Well, what happened years ago? We had a dyno, and I tested all these carburetors, and I didn't like how any of them worked. And a lot of these are homemade carburetors. I didn't like them. The factory-built carburetors, they're all right, but they weren't big enough for what we wanted. And so I went down to the metal place, and I come back with a piece of aluminum this big, and I cut 3 pieces out of it and made one carburetor. And stuck it on the motor, and it ran good. Well, it's the closest thing, the carburetor that I built is the closest thing to fuel injection without having fuel injection. In other words, if you race like at Ohio, in the middle of the day, the air is like 3,500 feet in the air. You really don't have to change the jets, and you go down to Epping in New Hampshire, and the air may be below sea level, maybe 0 level, and that's where you make your most power. But you can go from 3,500 feet up to nothing on the bottom, and you don't even have to change jets in it. It's pretty close.
But what happened when you invented that carburetor? Then you started racing with it, right? And just blowing everybody out of the water. Like talk about what happened when you did that.
Well, what happened? I went to the first race to play with the carburetors, and this one guy's walking by, and the hood was up, and he stopped and backed up and looked under the hood, and what are those things? And I said, well, it's the carburetor that I designed and built and stuff. And so he's looking at it, and he says to me, you must have some kind of degree in engineering. And I said, well, I got a 3rd grade education, if that helps. So, of course, he thought I was joking.
Yeah.
I was being truthful with that. But no, I designed a lot of stuff for snowmobiles. I designed all the clutch springs years ago when I raced for Bombardier, And we're still using some of those clutch springs to this day. So that makes me feel pretty good. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, I come up with a lot of stuff for two strokes. Build a lot of power. For years, we were making a lot of horsepower, and everybody said my dyno's off. You can't be making that kind of power out of that snowmobile like that. And one guy spoke up and he said, well, how come he's running faster than everybody, more mile an hour, at every racetrack he goes to? There's got to be something up with that. But now a lot of the guys have caught up with the horsepower numbers, and all they got to do is look at one of the motors. Somebody buys a motor, gets out of racing, sells it, and they bring it to the other shops, and they can see what was done and stuff. But
Reverse engineer it.
yeah, like Landon, he's 800cc motor. He's making 250 horsepower out of them, a little bit more. That's a lot of horsepower.
Yeah.
Then naturally aspirated.
Are you still racing at all? Or you
I don't race. I don't drive. I just wrench.
Yeah. Is Landon still racing? Does he race at all anymore? No.
No, I talked him out of that.
Why?
He wanted to go back oval racing. I said, no. Too dangerous.
Yeah.
So he just ranches and stuff like that. But it's kind of fun coming up with new stuff.
Yeah.
It's like when I raced for Bombardier years ago. And I was having trouble with the motor a little bit, so they dragged it in the trailer, and they started tearing things apart. Where they take the exhaust off it, and something rolled out of the exhaust and rolled across the floor. So the Frenchman went over and picked it up and looked at it, and he's talking in French to his other buddy, and looking at this thing that fell out of the exhaust system. So they all looked at me and spoke English. What's this for? Why is that an exhaust? I said, well, you put that back in there. I got a better hole shot, more top end. Motor didn't have enough back pressure in it. Well, they measured it all up and handed it back to me, and we put it all back together. Well, the next year, when we got the brand new sleds, that was in the exhaust system. So,
They ought to be paying you for research and development, huh?
well, I found putting that little thing in it. It's only this big around and it's that thick, but boy, it made a big difference.
Did you ever invent anything that helped you in hunting, in the hunting world?
Not really, no.
Yeah. You don't really need much.
Well, when I was a young fellow, I had so much determination to get a deer. And I've talked about this some. We only had 2 weeks back when I was growing up. I hunted so hard for the 2 weeks. I used to lose maybe 10, 15, 20 pounds. Took me a month to recover pretty near from getting wore out chasing deer around all the time. But I used to say there's only two things that's going to keep this deer alive today, and that's either dark or a big river.
Yeah.
Because I was on him. And if he stopped, I'd come up behind a bunch of them. That was a big controversy. I don't know if we talked about this on the last broadcast, but I grew up in Waterbury, Vermont. And that was a big talk way back when I was a kid. There's no way a human being can run a deer down. Well, it's true, you can. There's no question about that. If you had a 26-mile race out here and you put a deer out there, the deer ain't going to last 26 miles.
Yeah.
I tell you right now. The good human being is going to run right by the deer.
Yeah.
The deer's going to start out like this. And about 8 or 10 miles later, he's going to go.
He's going to tire himself out.
He's going to go right by that deer.
Yeah.
Deer ain't going to make it. His tongue's going to be hanging out. That's when you know he's done, pretty much. I've shot a bunch of them with their tongues hanging out the side. What does that tell you? They're done. They don't want to run no more.
Yeah.
That used to be the big controversy in town. Ain't no way somebody can run a deer down. I have. I ran a few of them down. Well, the older ones are easier.
Yeah. What about the other controversies? Didn't you had game wardens following you around?
Yeah, I didn't even know about that one. That was way back in the 60s, 70s. Yeah, 60s it was. They signed a game warden to us just for 2 weeks in Vermont. That's all his job was, follow us around.
Yeah, private investigator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that freaking Lanny drove off so fast in the morning. It's the only thing I can see that they're doing. is they leave early and get back late, but they hunt all day.
Yeah.
They don't hunt at nighttime. That was a big thing. Everybody thought was hunting at nighttime. We're just hunting hard, that's all.
Yeah.
If you got bare ground, then you got to hunt a little harder. You know, when you're younger, just put more miles on in the woods and just do it right. You hunt the trails up on these mountains. You're going to bump into something up there during the rut. I mean, but you know, say you're sitting down here and there's nothing moving down here, but they might be moving up there on the side of one of the mountains. If you put a lot of miles on, you're going to bump into something pretty soon.
When you're hunting bare ground, what's your strategy on that?
Well, the thing is, too, if you've hunted an area and you find where deer are crossing or deer are coming through these areas, pinch points on mountain ranges, or they're walking around the side of a mountain, you'll see their little trail that they all follow. So you hunt those where you just walk a ways and keep an eye out. The best thing to do, if you can keep off the trail, you're better off. Don't go on the trail.
Yeah.
It's like when I hunted Ontario, you look down and you see a crossing down there. This is just a little tip. There's a crossing, you see it, you can see it a ways away. Don't go down there and walk up and down the crossing. Don't go look at the scrape. Stay up here, don't go down there. You're down there and you get it all stinking.
Yeah.
Get it all messed up with scent, smell, and don't do it. Stay away.
Yeah.
You have better luck. Something's going to come along. If you're walking this way and a buck's coming behind you, he's going to smell you after a while and he's going to veer off. So if you can stay off the trails, you're better off.
I think with the way the snow's been coming later and later and less, it seems like, it's going to be harder and harder to find good tracking days. So I just think people are going to have to adjust. Trackers are going to have to.
You only get one good day out of the week.
Yeah.
Even if it snows every day. So you have one good perfect day. Usually that's the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to make the most of them days. Of course, I ain't like I used to be when I was a young fella, so. But I still have fun going.
You always have spent a lot of time riding roads, and in the truck to get a lay of the land and see if a buck has come out of the woods and just looking for tracks.
Want me to give you a little secret on how you know the rut's over?
What's that?
We didn't talk about that last time.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so.
This episode is brought to you by OnX, the #1 hunting GPS app. The OnX Hunt app has been an invaluable tool in my hunting pursuits, whether I'm hunting, shed hunting, scouting, or e-scouting. To support our show and gain access to the best hunting app out there, use code HS20 when signing up, and you'll get 20% off your plan. I use OnX to mark rub lines, annual scrapes, stand locations, camera locations, and a lot of other points of interest. For shed hunting, I use the tracking feature, which shows me where I have walked in a patch of woods, but more importantly, it shows me where I haven't been, these little pockets of woods I may have skipped over, and that really helps me to find match sheds that I'm in pursuit of. In Massachusetts, we have to be 500 feet away from a dwelling to release an arrow, or a bullet for that matter, so I frequently will use the bubble feature, which you place a waypoint down on a building, and then you can set your radius bubble to whatever your state setback is, and that'll show you where where is off limits to hunt and where you are safe to hunt. There are tons of other features I use daily to help me be more successful, which I'll break down in a later video on my channel. But if you want to give OnX a try, they're a great sponsor. I would recommend supporting them. Go download OnX from the App Store and use code HS20 for 20% off. All right, just a quick break and we'll get right back to the discussion with Lanny. Come say hi to Lanny at Huntstock August 8th, 9th, and 10th at Wildwood Farm in Westminster, Massachusetts, where he'll be delivering seminars on Friday and Saturday. We've got the best seminar lineup we've ever put together with Lanny, Hal Blood, Rick Labby, Randy Flannery, Rodney Elmer, and new bow hunting legends, first time coming to Huntstock, John Eberhart, Barry Wenzel, and the hunting beast Dan Infalt. We'll have over 80 hunting exhibitors. We're giving away more than $40,000 in prizes, including a chance to share camp with Lanny, Rick Labby, and Dan Infalt this coming fall. And we've also got plenty of fun for kids, including free inflatable obstacle courses, BB gun ranges, and a s'mores station. Kids are under 12 are free, so make sure you bring your family along with you. We've got great food and drink, live music on Friday and Saturday nights, and thousands of hunters coming to celebrate our cherished hunting tradition. The cheapest tickets are available online, and you can use discount code LANNY15 to get an even better price, but tickets will also be available at the gate. If you want to get your tickets online, go to www.huntstockevents.com and click on the green Purchase Tickets button and use code LANNY15. We hope to see you there this summer. Let's get back into the podcast.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so now you're kind of a road runner. This tells you when the rut gets over with. So now you like to ride the roads a little bit to find big buck tracks. Shot one of the biggest bucks I ever shot. I'm going to go back to the road riding first. I was in Quebec. I stopped by and hunted Quebec one time, and I only had a week to hunt there. I spent 3 days going through all the mountains up there. I finally found what I was looking for. There was a big, huge buck track down a certain spot of a road there. This is after scouting for 3 days. So I told everybody, I'm going back down where I found that big buck track. I see where he crossed back and forth a little bit. I went down there and I shot that deer at 10 o'clock in the morning from scouting for 3 days. Weighed 270. Never would have got that deer if I hadn't scouted. I've shot some of the biggest deer I've ever shot by doing that. And I told a quick story at a little seminar I did in Maine a few weeks ago. Parlin Pond Road, we had brand new snow that morning. That night it snowed, and the rut was on. And I think I counted 10 or 12 buck tracks that morning I found crossing the road.
Yeah.
Like a 20-mile stretch or 10-mile stretch. I passed every one of them up. That's a lot of buck tracks to pass up. I went up the side road, and I see a really big buck track up there. And I said to the guy riding with me, hey, hang on for a minute. I'm going to go in. I'm just walking in the woods. I ain't taking no gun. I'm just walking in the woods. I want to follow this deer track. I followed that deer track, and I come back, and I started throwing sandwiches in the back. This is a pretty good buck right here. And I've been looking for them all morning. I've been looking for this kind of deer track. I can tell you pretty much how old they are, how big they are, pretty much. That deer went 268. That's how I shot all these big bucks, by putting the miles in on the road.
Being able to pass, which a lot of
pass up buck track.
Yeah.
My daddy used to get mad at me. What's wrong with this buck track? Don't like it. It ain't big enough. It ain't old enough. I can tell how old the deer is pretty much by looking at the track after you've followed a while. People say, how can you do that? Well, knowing what you're looking at. They get flat-footed and the dew claws get wider in the back and the whole works, and just the way they walk. But I shot a lot of big bucks just doing that.
So was your dad less picky on the tracks that he took?
Yeah. Nothing against my dad, but he used to tell me, what's wrong with this track? I don't like it. Don't want it.
And he would say, all right, I'll take it.
He did a few times. But, I just pretty picky about it. All right, so the rut. We'll go back to the rut.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what happens during the rut. So you're driving down the road. Say you've traveled some roads where there's plenty of nice deer here and there. Well, when you look in the road, you see where a deer ran down the road. What's up with that? Well, I tell you what's up with that. He lost the doe. He's looking for her. So he runs nice buck track. They'll run down the road, and all of a sudden they'll turn, come back, and go in here. That's because he's looking for that doe. The minute you stop seeing all these nice buck tracks crossing the road and running around like that, rut's over. Done. And everybody keeps saying, well, they got the late rut. No, they don't have the late rut. What you got is you got a bunch of young bucks still chasing around looking for a doe. That's what you got. The rut is over.
The older bucks know it's over, and the young bucks are still so hopped up with testosterone. They don't know any better, right?
Now I'm just going to prime example of that. And Glenn saw that a couple of years ago with me, that we're in one place this week, and there's all kinds of buck tracks going back and forth across the road. I said, look at all these buck tracks. Ain't no real big ones here, but there's some nice deer. So we go back over and we're at one buck track a week later because the rut was over. When it's over, it gets over quick. And they stop crossing. They'll still cross some, but not like they were before.
Yeah.
So that's one way you can tell if you're a road runner with a vehicle.
Yeah. And then, so what do you...
And I'm a road runner.
Yeah.
I'll put... Like when I hunted in Ontario, the game warden stopped me up there and he asked me where I was staying. I told him, he goes, well, that's 85 miles from here. Yeah. What I didn't tell him, well, we shot most all the big bucks around camp. I got to go somewheres.
Well, so...
That was a fact.
Yeah. When the rut's over, though, it just becomes harder to find a track from the road. But, you know, a lot of people like that late season when the rut's over and the bucks are tired out. So how does your strategy change there?
You've got to. Here's what you got to do. You got to look for some cedar swamps. Okay. You start poking around some really good cedar swamps, or a lot of cedars even up high. It don't matter. It don't have to be a swamp. As long as there's a bunch of cedar trees around, you will find more deer around the cedars, and the bucks will be in there too, feeding on whatever's around there.
And they're not traveling very far.
They're not traveling far at all.
Yeah.
Say you got a blow down cedar tree right over here, blow it over, but it's it's a good tree. He'll feed on that tree, and then he'll wander around, maybe go up there and lay down. That night he may come back and feed on the tree again. It depends on how many cedars are around. There was one in Maine. I found a really big buck track a few years ago, well, maybe 10 years ago. And I said, I'll come back after this buck. He lives right here somewhere. I'm not worried about it. I want to check something else. Why I never saw that track again for a week. Track was gone. I said, what the hell? I know that deer's here somewheres. So I said to Shane, we hasn't snowed in a week. There's this same buck track I saw a week ago right here. I said, you know what? I'm going to follow it. Track was a week old.
Mm-hmm.
I found him at noon.
Really? He just was bedding down for long periods of...
Found the fucking cedar tree that he liked. It was blown over in the woods. And he'd been feeding on that cedar tree, feed over here, over there. But then he'd keep going back to the cedar tree. He had beds everywhere, right here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going over. He was happy, right? The rut was over.
Yeah. Yeah, you took a week-old track and found him.
Yeah. I don't usually tell that story. I just remembered that one.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of them if we can. See, say I take somebody hunting and we're riding around. I remember a lot of these stories, and it helps them just to ride around to learn stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the rut's over, big bucks don't go hardly nowhere. They find some place they're happy and they hang right there. That one I found in Ontario, I went back out there in December, and I found that big buck where he dropped both antlers on the DVDs. When he took off, both antlers fell off. But that track was like 3-4 days old, and we caught him at about noon. Beds everywhere. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was feeding on Old Man and His Beard. And I don't remember, there's not many cedar trees out there, but he was feeding on something, I can't remember. But he had plenty of food right there. Got any more questions?
How many bucks, in if you put a percentage on, just think about it. Most of your bucks, did you kill during the rut, during early season, during the later season?
I'd rather hunt them during the rut.
Yeah.
And the rut don't last long, but I'd rather have... I think the best time of year to go hunting, believe it or not, a lot of people ain't going to agree with this. I think the first and second week in Maine are your two best weeks.
Why?
Because now you're getting right into the rut. The rut usually goes on to about the second or third. And time you get to, most of the time you get to muzzleloader season, the rut is over.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And I only go by what I've seen with the does and stuff.
Yeah.
I think the first 2 weeks are the best.
Yeah. A lot more action.
Way more action.
But the snow doesn't seem to be coming.
Right. But you more action, the bucks are moving around more. The does are moving around. Does are moving too because they're the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you go to a bar, there's always a sweet thing over there and sweet one over there, you know.
Yep.
Did I say the bar?
Yeah. You did. That's the bar for the woods for them, you know.
Sure.
Well, I've got some questions written down here. We'll just go down through and.
I love questions.
Oh yeah, we've got some stuff, different categories here. But the first one is legacy in life. The category here.
That sounds complicated.
Oh, it can be complicated. I want to hear some answers. I want to see what you say to some of these. What do you want to be remembered for? As a hunter, but also just as a man, Lanny Benoit, what would you want to be remembered for?
What I would like to be remembered for is just trying to be a nice person in life. I try to do that all the time, and I ain't bragging, but my problem is I have too big a heart in here, and if somebody comes up to me and tells me they got no money and they're hungry or he's out of gas and he can't put it and needs to drive, you know, I'm always trying to help somebody, and that's a true story, so... And we're going to use my muzzle loader that they're building me for an example. I put a price tag on the muzzle loader at $2,000. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but this day and age it's not. So, and the thing is selling really fast, and everybody says to me, Lanny, you're selling it too cheap. I said to most of them, I did that on purpose because there's a lot of people who like to buy the muzzleloader, the little guy, and he can't afford $3,000 for the gun. That's why it's $2,000, or instead of $2,500. I put it at $2,000, not making much on it after they put all the good wood on it and do the engraving. Don't care. I just wanted to make sure that the little guy that really would like one can get one.
Yep.
And that's the reason that the price is where it's at.
Yep.
Now later on, they're going to be worth more than what they're selling for right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you guys
I'm
are
only doing 100.
100, and this is a Woodman Arms muzzleloader, Lanny Benoit edition. Gonna have what signature on there? Some engravings.
Yeah, deer tracks even.
Yeah. And deer tracks. Yeah, that'll be a collector's piece for sure.
Yeah,
and,
I think there's some guys that are buying 5 of them because they know there's only 100 of them being built. Yeah. So they want to have some when everybody goes, I wanted one, but I couldn't get one.
Are you going to have one of those at Huntstock, or are you going to show designs for it there to people?
I think I'm going to have the complete gun, maybe a couple of them for Huntstock.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So
it'd be kind of fun, too. I did that because I wanted some fun stuff to do, and, you know. But that's what I want to be remembered for, is being a nice guy. It don't matter about the deer hunting and stuff, and you know, if you go in my shop, I hardly got any trophies in there, and I've won hundreds of trophies. If you go in my house, I don't even have a deer horn in my house.
Yeah, that's most people wouldn't believe that.
So I think I got one horn in the garage.
Yeah.
So they're all down to my dad's or in the trailer.
Yeah.
You know, I went to our deer hunting school. I keep bringing deer heads back and forth because we set them up out in the woods because we have a course through the woods for everybody to walk. And this year I got tired of lugging the deer heads back and forth. I said, Bob, I'm just going to leave them up here. Fun place to put them.
All right, let's go with a couple more of these pre-written questions I got here. When did you first realize that hunting would be one of the defining parts of your life?
I knew that right from the beginning. Back when I was like 9 or 10 years old, I bragged to my uncles that I was going to shoot a lot of big bucks later on in life. Somehow I just knew that.
Well, you were growing up, it was just hunting was a huge part of your family's life, right?
Hunting and being in the woods was a huge part of my life when I grew up, because a lot of times I'd go and head out and I'd tell my parents I won't be back until tomorrow. I'm going to stay in the woods tonight, and I'm probably going to go fishing tomorrow eat what I catch, and that's what I used to do. I'd catch brook trout and cook them on the side of the brook. And same when I went bird hunting. A lot of times we'd cook up some grouse and eat those and have an apple that time of year. And so I grew up in the woods, but I knew before I shot a lot of bucks, I was going to shoot some big deer because I had that in my head. And my uncles used to tell me, well, that sounds good at your age, but shooting them big bucks pretty tough.
Yeah.
I said, well, it ain't going to be for me because I'm going to
put your mind to it.
Yeah, I told them I was, and they kind of argued with me. They didn't argue much with me after I turned 20 or so. And people used to make fun of me when I worked at the ski area because they all asked me about deer hunting. So I used to explain to them that when I was a kid, I said, you know, on the right conditions, you can smell them big bucks in front of you. If the wind comes to you, you can smell them deer. You can't smell a deer. What's wrong with you? So they used to pick on me about that stuff. But I got the last laugh. And I used to help all the neighbors hunt deer too. What I did was I'd be all tagged out in Vermont, and my friends that I grew up with, well, I ain't got a deer yet. Can you help me? Yeah, come on, we'll go get you a deer tomorrow. And that's how easy it was. I'd take them on, they'd shoot a buck. And I got one good story about that. Was a friend of mine always had buck fever when we grew up as kids. Now we're not kids anymore, and he went in the Army and he come back out. And he's telling me how that fever's all gone out of him because they trained it out of him so he don't get nervous and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're tracking around this nice buck. It was probably 180-pound deer, and decent set of horns. So we come over the mountain. We're going back down on this side tracking that deer, and I looked way down in the hardwoods, and I could see that deer down there, and the deer hadn't spotted us. So we got behind a nice big rock there. And I said, lay right over here, you boy. You got a nice rest on that deer. And all you can see is his head sticking out now. The deer's looking around, and the deer don't know we're here. But the deer stood there for quite a while. I said, well, don't just shoot at his head. Wait, he'll pop out here. So I'm looking down at his legs. I said, shit. He's still got that fever. So, they didn't get it out of him. He still got it as a grown man. I said, shit. Well, anyways, so the deer steps out. He's shooting at the deer, and I said, take your time now. Just make sure you get the beat. He emptied his gun. I handed him my gun. Here, shoot my gun. After about 12 or so shots, he finally got the deer. Well, what happened, he'd shoot and the mud would fly over here, and the deer would run this way.
Yeah.
Look back at the mud. That's how far away the deer was. He's shooting the mud and fly over here. Deer run back over there. Look at this spot.
He had no idea what was going on.
The deer didn't know where to go. The deer was doing this.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. I said, oh my goodness.
Oh, that's
Can I take one shot? I'll fix it for you. But I didn't.
Oh, you might have. Come on.
But anyways, finally got the deer and they got it mounted and all that stuff. But I used to do that a lot, help people get a deer.
Yeah.
But that's how easy it was when I grew up. To get
You just
deer.
knew. You knew from an early age.
Yeah. Wasn't hard.
Now, what about, do you remember when your dad got on that Sports Afield cover? Do you remember that time? Mm-hmm. What changed? How did life change at that point for you guys?
Never really changed for us much. What happened, he got on the cover there, and I remember talking to Peter Miller, and Peter Miller was wanting to do a book on us, write a book about how to hunt deer. Mm-hmm. And my dad didn't want to, and I wanted to, and finally I talked my dad into it, and then Peter Miller went and did the book, and it changed some, but not really, not much. My dad started doing going to deer hunting shows more than I did. At first, I went to quite a few, and then later on in life when I got other things going on. Of course, you got to remember, too, back when there was a bunch of shows going on, it was hard for me to go to deer hunting or any of these sportsman shows because I was racing every weekend. That was my other passion. I always wanted to be sponsored by somebody, some manufacturer. So I got sponsored by Yamaha first, and then I got sponsored by Arctic Cat, and that fell through because Arctic Cat went out of business shortly after that. Then they got back in business, but then the really good sponsor I had was Bombardier, so I was on the road all the time.
Yeah.
Racing snowmobiles all through the whole winter. And I did find some good hunting areas because of that on the road, but I'd be gone for a month at a time out of town. I'd leave on a Thursday or Friday to go out west racing, and then from there I just had to keep racing that way, and then I finally raced my way back. I come back a month later. That's how much I was on the road. So I didn't get a chance to do much of that until afterwards.
Yeah. But it must have really, turned your dad into a celebrity overnight almost, because I'm sure people locally knew him and knew the way that you guys hunted and how good and successful you guys were at it. But then all of a sudden he's on the biggest magazine at the time, and everybody in the country all of a sudden, who is this guy? I think it was the first time a hunter's face was ever featured on the magazine, right?
Yeah, I think it was too. Yeah, looking down the barrel or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did change quite a bit. There's no question about that. What happened was every year we were hanging all these deer up on the porch. We'd have anywhere from $6 to $10 on the porch. Depends on if we went to Maine or just hunted Vermont. But they were all big deer. They're all like 200-pound things and decent racks on them. So people used to drive for miles just to see what was on the porch.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of accidents out there, too.
What kind of accidents?
Well, people would be driving down the road that never seen the porch before, and they look, and there's 6 or 7 200-pound bucks hanging up there with big racks. He'd slam the brakes on, and all excited, open his door and get his door cleaned off. Or somebody'd run into the bathroom.
Yeah.
That used to happen all the time there.
Oh, geez.
Bang, crash, pow. But yeah, it used to be a lot of excitement looking. There'd be people out there all day long.
Yeah. Did your dad like it, hate it? Be the fame that came along with that?
I think he liked the company that he got at the house. He enjoyed the company.
Yeah.
He used to have people drive from all over the country. I mean, when I say all over the country, to stop by and visit him.
Yeah, he just had the open door policy, right? I mean, I've heard from so many people that just drove up. Your dad would welcome them in, and they'd be there for hours.
Yeah, they would. Mother always liked to feed them.
Yeah.
She had to feed them all the time. You couldn't walk back out without getting fed. That she used to like to. Yeah, people came from the Midwest to everywhere. Didn't matter. They come from Canada.
What was your mom's go-to meal that she would cook?
She was an awesome cook. Of course, everybody says that about their mom. She made great donuts. Well, she just about most anything. Everything was good. She used to have scorched flour gravy with potatoes.
Well, that sounds good.
It was good, but she knew how to do that.
Yeah.
All started with bacon, or chipped beef. Sometimes she'd make it out of that. Awesome. What else you got there?
I'm starting to get hungry. All right. What do you think what was the most defining moment of your career in the woods? Your career, your most defining moment.
Boy, that's a good question. I had a lot of them. That's a true story. I've had a lot of defining moments. Getting the ride at the end of the day was good. When you're 40 miles away from your fucking car, excuse my language. I don't really know. I don't really have any one. Probably one of the things I really remember is when it only happened to me once, is big buck got tired of me chasing around. He chased me. He charged me. He didn't like me. He put his head down. He came right after me.
Yeah.
Got sick of me chasing him.
Yeah. Well, that was the defining moment in that buck's life.
I shot him from here to the refrigerator right there. Right in the, I had his head down and plugged him right between the shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Bang! I stepped to one side and he piled up right there.
Yeah.
That's how close it was. He would have got me.
That was it for him.
He was cranky. He wasn't happy. Actually, what he did was he turned around and looked at me, and he actually pawed the ground and snorted and came after me. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but he was sick of me chasing him.
Yeah. Yeah, you told that story on the first podcast. If people want to go back and re-listen to that, you told the whole story, and it was great.
and after I shot him, I'm going to repeat this again. When I plugged him, actually, he fell over here.
Yeah.
And I fell this way. I laid on my back for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I just fell over on purpose, laid in the snow like this. And I thought, I've had enough. I can't even hardly, I just so tired. But I got him. I just laid there for 20 minutes, catching my breath and getting my strength back.
Yeah.
And I didn't even got him out.
Yeah.
I walked back to the car. I've had that deer got me tired out.
Yeah. Go back in and get him later.
All right. We went down. Uncle Wendy, my dad went down. Guy with a farm there, he got a tractor, and they all went down, dragged him back out with a tractor because he came all the way from the mountains right back down into the swamp beside the farmhouse there.
Uncle Wendy, what's his story? What's the quick story on Uncle Wendy?
Quick story with Uncle Wendy. The name tells it like it is.
Yeah.
Uncle Wendy. No, he hunted with us for years. Uncle Wendy was a lot of fun to have around.
Was he your dad's brother?
No, not really. No. I don't know how he's even related.
Yeah.
Just called
just the nickname Uncle Wendy.
Uncle Wendy.
Yeah. All right. What about this? Was there a hunt that changed your perspective, not on deer, but on life? Like a hunt that changed your perspective on or outlook on life at all?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. And I've told this story too. I was in New Brunswick. I had a deer hunting school in New Brunswick. And I already knew before that, and I'm going to point up there on this story. See, somebody had looked after me my whole life. It's like the way my body heals sometimes.
And still is, yeah.
You know what I mean? People look at me, didn't you just have something? Yeah, I did, but it's gone. And it's been that way my whole life. So I'm driving down the road. Fucking rear tire falls off and rolls down the road and goes into 2 counties. That's a true story. Because there was a sign there that said county this way and a county that way. Different name.
Yeah.
And it's a tracking school. All the studs broke on it. Not because they weren't tight, but they were. And the tire fell off, went that way, and I looked at 2 guys. And I said, well, it snowed this morning, guys. Go track that tire down. Went right out of sight.
Yeah.
It did. It rolled down the road and disappeared. I said, we'll find that tire. We're going to need it eventually. So they get back with a tire, and they said, what's going to happen here? And I said, well, fellas, and I had this talk with them. And if you talk to any one of those guys, they'll tell you the same thing. One of them was at Huntstock last year.
Oh, really?
I should have introduced you to him. He'd tell you all about it. He was one of the guys that found the tire.
Yeah.
He was right on the corner as you walk into the barn, right here. That was the guy. I took him to New Brunswick. He went and found the tire. So they come back, and I said to him, look, guys, forever somebody's always looked out for me. And I know the tire fell off, and we got it back. I said, but, if it works out like it always has for me, somebody's going to come by, and they're going to fix this thing, and we're going to be on the road again. And I didn't exactly say it quite like that, but that's how it came out. I said, the way it's worked for me, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
I no more got done saying this. This truck comes down the road, slams his brakes on. My God, he goes, geez, you lost your tire. And he's looking at, oh, yeah, he broke all your studs off. I think I got some of those in my shop. I'll be right back. Boom. Comes back, got a jacks it up. Changed all the wheel studs, put the tire back on it. We weren't there a half an hour probably.
Yeah. You just felt it that something was going to happen.
Always does.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah. There was a question in here somewhere about spiritual. Have you ever felt anything spiritual while you were on a hunt? Trying to find it, but essentially this kind of rolls into that. Have you ever felt any sort of spiritual awareness while out on a hunt?
Maybe my Indian heritage a little bit. vision.
Yeah.
Had visions on shooting deer.
And then it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had that a lot through my times hunting. Had a vision.
Like while you're hunting, you'll get a vision.
Not that
or
day, but maybe the night before.
Yeah.
Or a dream or something happens where you go in the woods and you know something's going to happen that day. So I don't know if it's just luck or somebody's looking out for me. And I've told a few of these stories where the big guy seemed to help me out there. So I've had some visions that come true. And my wife gets mad when I talk about that.
Why?
She just thinks it's nonsense.
Yeah.
I said, well, something's going on.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's a good question right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds a little suspicious, you know what I mean? But it doesn't sound suspicious to me.
No.
Because I've had it happen to me.
There's certainly something going on. There's no denying that.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
I don't go to church or nothing, but somebody's been looking out for me for a long time. I could drop dead out in the yard, but still, somebody's been looking out for me. No question about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's evidence from like the kidney thing, your stroke, recovering super fast. I mean, there's something going on. Like you were telling me, you know, you drank your whole life. A lot of people get cancers or something from that, or some bunch of health problems. But there's just something in your genes.
Well, here's what happens. I'm going to back up a little bit now that you asked that question. I'm going to back up a little bit. One of my biggest dreams was shooting big bucks, and I had visions about that when I was a kid growing up. Mm-hmm. And that's why I used to talk to my uncles. I'm going to shoot a lot of big bucks. Yeah, okay, you might think that, but it's not going to be that way. Well, it was that way. And also, I had visions about snowmobile racing. Now, who on this planet would take somebody from Vermont that has a third-grade education and they have 3 different manufacturers wanting to hire me to go racing for them? That was one of the visions I had growing up when I was a young fella. I always wanted to have the race for a manufacturer and have them want me to race for them.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a dream. You know, you're dreaming an aspiration, but you make sure that it happens. I think there's a lot of things in life like that. If you, like, even with Huntstock, for me, I had. It's not like it's it may not be that it's like a vision in the spiritual sense, and then it happens. I think it's more of I had thought about Huntstock so much and what I wanted it to be and feel like and look like, and I had put so much thought into it that
could be what it is.
That's what I wanted. I wanted it to get to there, and then that first year that we did it, at the end of the show, I just remember this overwhelming, feeling of being like euphoric, where it was like, holy shit, the exact vision that I had for it, like it's like it came out exactly how I dreamed of it to be. It was the show that I wanted it to be. People had it, it was much fun. Everybody was having a great time. It was exactly how I thought it was going to be. But I think you just, when you have a strong feeling like that or a vision, you do everything possible to make it come true. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Could be. I know all my dreams have come true. Every dream I've ever had about wanting to do something,
yeah, they've
all come true for me. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Like being a state champion skeet shooter.
Yeah.
Being a good skeet shooter. It all came true for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's definitely something going on out there. It's the way the fabric of the universe ties together.
Yeah, why would my kidneys go to failing and all of a sudden they go back the other way?
Yeah. It doesn't.
Well, even the doctor said I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stage 4, now it goes back to normal.
Yeah.
And I was still worried about my kidneys when I had the stroke. And they tested them. No, your kidneys are fine.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. Well, it's like I drank all them years.
Yep.
I mean, I used to drink a 6-pack every night.
Yeah.
And still walk all day in the woods.
Yeah.
Who can think of that? So I went to the doctor's one time, and he asked me how much I drank. And I said, well, I drink quite a bit. I know I shouldn't be. So he says to me, this is what he says to me. Well, your liver's all fucked up. I said, wow. Yeah, we're going to do some tests on your liver. You've drank way too much. Because I told him, well, you know, how much I drank. And so they tested my liver. I'm leaning over looking like this at the paperwork, and he's looking at it. It's right there. And he's going, huh. This is what he was saying to himself. So I'm looking at it and going, wow. I said, boy, my liver is really bad. Huh? The number's wicked low on it. Gonna find out. The lower the number,
the better.
He says your liver is more than better than normal. He said the test must be wrong. He said it was a 1 something, and I can't remember. It was way down there.
Yeah.
Anyways, he said, how the hell did that happen? So I don't. Got me, doc. I guess it's the water.
It must be. It must be.
But yeah, go ahead. You got some more questions here?
I got plenty.
You got plenty of questions?
We could be here all day.
You ain't got that many.
We got all right. So we kind of already touched that one. What did your father Larry teach you that you never forgot?
How not to horse a car.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
The 2-foot technique.
No, how not to horse a car. He's going to show me how to horse the car. See, I grew up racing my whole life.
Yeah.
Over North Hudson for New York. We had a Fairlane. This was way back in the early 60s. And he said, I don't think you're revving it enough. I said, well, the car ain't going nowhere. It ain't my fault. I'm shifting it right. I'm revving it right. It ain't going nowhere. Well, you let me drive it. I'll show you how to horse that thing. I said, okay. So he gets dirty, wound it right out in low gear and blew the clutch right out of it. Exploded the thing because he over-revved it so far. So I remember that. I said, yeah, Pop, you really showed me there.
What do you hope the next generation of Benoits carry on from your tradition?
I don't have hardly nobody to carry on. I got my grandson there. I got one grandson, but he don't care about loud noises or guns.
Yeah.
So this is it.
Yeah. Well, actually, you were talking about you're hoping that Timmy and Glenn carry on the tradition too,
yeah,
right?
That's right too. Yeah, I really got a lot of hope for Timmy and Glenn to keep on going with the deer hunting school, and it's important to me that they keep doing it. I'd like to see them do that, and they have all kinds of ambition in that, and they're making our deer hunting school so much better with their ambition that they got.
Yep.
You know, I really like how they're operating. They're full of enthusiasm. They work with every customer or every person that goes, and they spend the time that's needed to do stuff. So, yeah, I'd like to see them keep doing that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. If I live long enough, I'd like to just go and sit in a rocking chair and watch them work.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's the way it is now. They don't let me do much. You know, they do the course through the woods, and I sit back in the parking lot and talk to somebody. And I used to chew a lot of tobacco, but I quit doing that. So.
Yeah, and you like having those guys on the seminar stage with you too, and they'll be doing a seminar with you on Friday at Huntstock.
Yes, I do.
Yep.
Well, here's what happens when you get people that are good at doing seminars. So they're talking, but meanwhile, while they're talking, you have time to think about something that you want to talk about yourself.
Right.
When they're done, because it brings up things that help.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things that was brought up that I noticed that people started doing was, and I'm not going to mention too many names here, I started talking about when you jump up a deer, you can go sit down for a half hour on a log or a rock or something. Well, that's certainly true to a certain extent, but you got to be careful with that, because some deer you jump up and he's going to not look back. Especially during the rut. You got to figure out, before you do that, you got to figure out what kind of deer that you're jumping up. Has he fed an awful lot? If he's fed an awful lot, then chances are he's going to run up there and he's going to look back for 10 or 15 minutes, and you don't follow, he's going to find a place and he may lay back down.
Yeah.
If he's fed a lot, because he's going to chew his cud.
Mm-hmm.
If he hasn't fed an awful lot and he wants to go look for a doe, he's headed. You're sitting there for a half hour for nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
The best way to do that is, I'm going to tell you, the guy that explained it the best that I've heard of is Rick Labby. Rick Labby says, instead of sitting there, I'll take a big loop and go way up in front of him and work my way back behind him. That's the best way of doing that.
Yeah, because they might be up there watching the backtrack.
Well, they're looking behind them.
Yeah.
And you're coming from this way.
Right.
I did that to a buck in Vermont one time. The freaking deer kept coming back looking for me. But he wouldn't come back on the trail. He'd be up higher.
Yeah.
So I went up there and got up above him, started sneaking back. I caught him coming back looking for me. He went like this. And yeah, you screwed up.
Yeah. Another defining moment in that buck's life right there. Their last moment. Is there one lesson that you wish every young hunter could truly understand? Not just hear, but understand.
Yep. It's kind of complicated a little bit. I don't think that you should... I don't think you should enjoy killing a deer too much. I don't think you should enjoy taking any life too much.
Yeah.
So have some respect for the deer that you killed. And I always wanted them dead when I went up there and looked at them.
Yeah.
I didn't want them looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to shoot them again.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I think that the best thing is when you go up there, they're done. So...
Yeah, one of the worst things to hear is, they'll get into a death moan, a deep moan sometimes, and that kills me.
Can't stand that. Hear them blatting or something, no.
Yeah.
The worst one I can ever think of, the buck I shot in Maine, I ran that sucker all day long, and I had him cornered, and I tell this story. He was cornered in one of them things on the lake. He couldn't swim across the lake because the ice he'd break through.
Mm-hmm.
Can't swim in it, can't walk on it. He had no but choice but to come back towards me. I can hear him crunching, breaking the ice because there's puddles. And I'm going towards him, and I can see ice over here and ice over there. And it went just like this. And I can't see him yet, but he's right there. He ain't going nowhere. And I found him. He stopped walking. I didn't hear him no more. And I'm walking towards him, and he's laying on the ground just like a doggy with his head as flat as you could put it, looking at me.
Yeah, trying to hide.
Trying to hide. Like he knew this was it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that.
Did you let him go?
No. I shot him, but I didn't like it. I chased him all day.
Yeah.
And I caught him. But I didn't like him looking at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did say to him, I can see you. And he's looking at me, never moved. He just looked at me. I said, oh, God, stop looking at me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask if having that type of respect for the animal, has there ever been a time where you've gotten up to a deer and just said, for whatever reason, you didn't want to kill that deer, even though it might have been a big buck, or, where you just said, I'm going to let you live on this one?
I have let a bunch of them go.
Yeah.
I've let some really nice bucks go. I haven't shot.
But was it because, the question I'm trying to get at is something inside you, like it was a buck that you would be proud to shoot, but you're just like, yeah, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you live.
I've done that a few times. I have done that, but maybe not because, be truthful with him, maybe because he wasn't quite heavy enough or big enough or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Be more like it than.
But not because you felt bad or you felt you know you.
The only one I really felt bad about is the one that was laying on the ground looking at me.
Yeah.
But I knew when I saw the deer laying there. It's like he knew.
Yeah.
Like somehow he knew this was over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking in my head, this deer seems to know. Why is he laying there? Should be standing up looking at me. That kind of got to me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did, really. It's just like he knew. See, normally the deer would be standing up or trying to run someplace.
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was pretty beat up, too, though. I was.
Yeah.
Been going on him all day.
Yeah. Just gave up.
I think he did give up.
Yeah.
Laying on the ground, sign he gave up.
Yep.
Had enough of you.
Is there a buck that still? This might be the buck, but is there a buck that still lives in your mind? Oh no, never mind. This won't be the answer. Is there a buck that still lives in your mind? The one that got away, or the one that meant the most?
Well, not the one that meant the most, but I'll never forget this one. I'm hiking up the ridge, and it was up in, it was up above Greenville, and I looked up the ridge, and I had a sandwich out, and a deer was coming this way. I think somebody spooked him or something, but he's running this way, and I didn't even pick my gun up. I said, well, he's coming this way. I'll just let him get here. I'll shoot him right here. Oh, that one's always stuck in my head. I was so confident I was going to shoot him right there. Well, right about there, he decided to switch directions. Going in a little ditch this way. There was a little ravine like this.
Yeah.
He jumped and went this way. Never saw him again. Now, I might have moved and he might have spotted me there.
Yeah.
Because they catch movement.
Yeah.
Maybe I dropped my sandwich and he might have saw it.
Was that a really big one?
Had a nice rack on it,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice deer. It was over 200 pounds, no doubt about it. And that deer never stopped running. I tracked that freaking deer half a day. He just kept on going. He'd slow down, run again, slow down, run again. He was out of there.
Yeah.
So I finally turned around, went back to the rig, and I said, deer,
You're not going to get him.
I don't think he's one of those that just stay looking back.
What has changed the most in the woods since you started hunting?
Mountains got bigger and steeper. They got a lot steeper.
Yeah. All right. What about what makes a great hunter? Not just skilled, but great.
Determination. Don't give up. Get up every day and go.
The most important
Tired
thing.
or not.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good hunter. And eventually, your odds are going in your favor. You're going to shoot a decent deer if you have that. See, we don't even talk about that much. I think it is in the DVDs about getting up every day and putting your time in. You put your time in, your odds are going towards you. I used to tell people that just never shot a 200-pound buck. And I tell them that they're basically a sitter. I said, all right, within 3 days, 4 days, if you sit here, you're going to shoot a 200-pound deer. I know that for a fact. So they'd be one day, didn't see much. Second day, they didn't see much. And I'd tell them, all right, your odds are going like this. Every day you sit here, you're getting closer to shooting that deer that you want.
Yeah.
Usually the third or fourth day they'd shoot a nice 200-pound deer. But I said, don't get discouraged. Don't think you don't want to sit there no more. You go back there and you sit there again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't have confidence that you're going to shoot a big deer there. Glenn's father did that. He's one of them. I put in a place and you sit right there. Don't move. Every day I want you to come back here and sit there. They're going to come through here and you're going to shoot them. He got his first 200-pound deer that way.
Yeah.
I did that with another guy in Burlington here. I used to sit on that pinnacle right there, and you're going to shoot this buck within 3 days. Shot it the second day. 200-pound deer.
Yeah.
But I have good luck taking people hunting.
Well, it takes a lot of patience.
Well, I have a skill of, this is a good spot.
Yeah. And you've had some people that you've told that
They move.
that moved.
I can see better over there.
Yeah.
Oh, that drives me crazy. I go back, pick them up, and they ain't there.
Yeah.
Well, I moved over there. Oh, my goodness. Don't go over there. There's nothing over there.
What do you think makes tracking an art form?
Well, you got a lot of these questions, don't you?
I do.
Well, it is an art form, and I'm going to tell you why it's tricky. Very tricky. Say that you and I went tracking for 2 or 3 weeks, tracking different bucks and stuff. You would see exactly how tricky it is. I've had deer go into brooks this way, and they turn around and go that way. So you automatically think they went this way, right?
Yeah. And then they
So it's a
all.
little tricky. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
First thing you do when you see them going this way, don't go that way. I learned that. Just walk up the brook a ways and see if you can see where there's water dripped off them on a little snowy rock, or see if you can see a puddle of water on a rock that has no snow. Pretty soon you figure out he went that way. I've had bucks, all of a sudden their track disappears. All right, here's what happens. A buck track is on a trail going this way. There's some deer that come in behind it because he's far enough ahead of you. And they're covering his track up. But you know it's underneath there. So eventually you keep going, but you never see that track again. So you want to remember right where these deer caught up to him somewhat, if you can. But you keep going and the deer disperse and there's no more big track in there. So that means now you got to come back and you got to find out where he jumped off the trail. Literally jumped. Didn't walk off the trail, jumped. I've had them where the trail's like this, they'll jump from here over to there.
And you think obviously that they're doing that on purpose to.
Well, to start with, I never jumped the deer out. Why did he jump from here over to there?
Yeah.
I'm just following. I haven't caught up with him yet. I've had a bunch of them do that. And I've had a bunch of them go like this, up on a little ridge, stand there for a while, walk all the way back down, and go this way. So you're looking at this big track going that way all of a sudden. It's covering this track up. It's him, I know it is. He went up there and come back and went that way.
They'd have to be making some sort of a conscious decision to do that because, if they're getting followed by a coyote or a wolf or something, you wouldn't, probably see that. I mean, maybe you would with the stream, I don't know, but they must know.
Have them jump into lakes, get away from me.
Yeah, if you're believing that they're doing that on purpose.
I've shot 2 or 3 of them, maybe more, that jump in a lake to get away from you. Now you got to figure out which way you went. Go that way or this way. So that takes a while. One of the biggest problem is, so you get in with a whole bunch of deer and this buck goes into a bunch of deer. They fed over here, fed over there, fed everywhere. Track's going every which way. Now you got a real problem. So now what you got to do is make a swing. If you don't catch his track, you got to swing again, go further, and eventually you'll find where he came out of. That gets really, all that stuff is knowing, it's art, and you got to be able to. I've never had a buck where I've lost his track. I've always found his track and continued on. So no matter what they do, I'm not going to lose them. I've had a lot of people tell me how they lost the track, and I pick on them. So,
what does success mean in the woods, especially when you come home empty-handed?
success?
Is there still success even on days when you come home empty-handed?
Well, yeah, when you do a lot of tough four-wheel and you didn't get stuck in there, you didn't break anything. The winch worked, and and you had a good successful day, and you may have to cut a tree out of the way. And successful is when I was in New Brunswick, and the four-wheeler trail, I was on the regular road, and the four-wheelers went around where the bridge got washed out. The bridge was totally washed out, and the bank went like this down into a swamp, across the swamp, and back up on the road. So the guy with me, he goes down, follows the four-wheeler trail, and comes, oh, no sweat. You can drive through there. Well, I drive down in there. There's a tree in the way. I can't get around it because the four-wheelers have gone through there. But the tree is too narrow.
Yeah.
But I can't back up because the hill's like this. Just as I went to turn to get off. So you get the chainsaw, I cut that tree out of the way. Then I look in the brook. And believe it or not, I looked in the brook. There's a transmission laying in this brook somehow, way back in the wilderness. The same kind of transmission I have in my Suburban.
Get out of here.
I looked at that and I said, what's the odds of that? Here.
Yeah.
Well, how is it here?
Yeah.
There's a Chevy transmission 350, which was in my Suburban.
Yeah.
I said, well, that ain't a good sign. I gotta go across this freaking swamp now. So I go across the swamp. I can't get up this hill because it's like this. I finally got up over that. I thought I was gonna have to winch myself out of there, but I didn't. Finally got up to the top. Headed down the road, and a tire track in the road. And this guy comes up the road with a four-wheeler, and he stops and looks at me, and he says, oh, they must have fixed the bridge, huh? I said, no. Well, they had to have. How'd you get down here? I said, I followed you guys' tracks. No, he said, well, think about it. Is there any tracks between you and I when you come up?
Yeah.
So that's a successful day right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
But it's an adventure story.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want any more of those?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple. Let's see. Do you worry about the future of hunting at all?
A little bit. I think it's going to be all right for a long time, but yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It gets every year somebody's buying more land and blocking it all off, and
Yeah.
you know, there's always going to be hunting because Mother Nature built us that way that we're hunter-gatherers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a bunch of liberals that think hunting's terrible, but they still go down and buy a poor chicken with his head chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how many turkeys get it every Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's always going to be hunting, but yeah, it's getting more harder and harder. More gates are put up every year where you used to be able to drive in and go hunting. Now you can't. No trespassing.
Can't even drive into the state park up here anymore.
I don't like that.
Yeah. All right. What would you say to the non-hunter who questions why we do this?
Well, I've been accused of everything from non-hunters. They see me in the store with orange on and start abusing me verbally, and you look down, they got leather shoes and leather purse.
Yeah.
How'd you get all that leather? You know,
Something had to die for it.
something had to. You know, that's just Mother Nature. If you think about Mother Nature, see all these ash trees dying?
Mm-hmm.
There's a worm that's killing them.
Yeah.
Something kills everything. Don't matter if it's a tree. Don't matter if something's hunting something else. But that's the way that's the way the earth is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always going to be hunting something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think.
tree has viruses and worms that kills them too. So everything is.
Yeah.
They're just like us humans.
Yep.
If you think-
What's something about deer that most people, even hunters, just still don't understand?
about deer?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of hunters don't understand how ruthless big bucks are when the rut rolls around. That's why some of these people that are newbies that have a deer farm, and they leave 2 big bucks in the same yard together. No, we're good. Start with you don't go in there during the rut.
Yeah.
You don't go in there.
Yeah.
And don't have 2 bucks together because they're going to fight right to the death.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize how vicious. I've tracked some bucks before where they're really mean and nasty. And they're in the rut so bad they hated to even run from you.
Yeah.
I drove by one day with my Suburban. The deer was standing from here to the refrigerator, and his nose was up and his fall flared out, all pissy because the doe was over there. And I said to the 2 guys with me, it was a small 10-pointer, somebody go out and shoot that thing and put it out of his misery. The deer was so bad. I've shot something like that, too. They're so bad in the rut. They're all cuckoo in the head.
Yeah. Yep.
They're the best buddies in the spring, you know.
Oh, it's great. It's so funny to see.
They're all pals all summer.
Even just in January, they're best buddies again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're 100% right on that. I'd seen that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I go out in January, maybe just go check some cameras or go look for early shed dropping or something, and I see these big dominant bucks and younger bucks with them, you know, just hanging out like they're best friends. And you know, a month ago they were hammering their horns together, and now they're just almost like, you know, what's the word for it? You know, it's like very friendly, just touching their antlers together.
I've seen that.
Like they're best buds, you know.
Yep. I've seen it when I was a kid. That's when I first noticed that when I was a kid. But yeah, people don't realize how vicious they are. I tracked one out in Ontario. Boy, Shane ended up shooting that deer. That deer he was a nasty one. He'd take off running. I'd be tracking him. He'd take off running because there was a buck over there laying in his bed.
Yeah.
Chase that thing around for a while, and then he'd go back to looking for does again. But I've tracked some really bad bucks.
Yeah.
Fight with everything.
Yeah. Some bad mamma jammas. I got a couple more, okay? 2 more. 2 more for you, and we'll wrap it up. I think we've been going for about 2 hours.
Has it been 2 hours?
I don't know. I'll look at that thing. It's pretty close. What innovation or modern hunting trend do you think hurts more than it helps?
Hurts most? Modern stuff?
Yeah, like is there any hunting innovation that you think hurts more that maybe you're worried about if it keeps continuing?
Well, I'm not worried about it, but I can tell you one thing that's really helped a ton was the GPS when it came out. Because everybody was scared to death of the woods when I grew up.
Yep.
Everybody. I mean everybody. Nobody went nowheres in the woods except for a handful of people with compasses. Otherwise, from that, nobody went anywheres in the woods. And one of the stories I told the last seminar I did was about this guy that was from Georgia. He come up and wanted to go hunting with us. And he was so full of shit about himself, it was crazy. Because every night at camp, he'd tell everybody, well, if I don't come out at dark, don't worry about it. I'm just going to kick a few leaves over me, and I'll spend the night in the woods, and I'll be fine. And on he went every night. He'd talk about this every night. So he had me believing it. Until him and I went hunting together. We went up on the long trail, whatever trail that is, the Appalachian thing. It's in Maine. And I hiked in there maybe about an hour, and it's snowing out. And I looked at him and I said, well, this is where you and I are going to split up. Well, guess what? I saw the fear on his face. He said, you ain't leaving me up here all by myself. I said, well, wait a minute. I thought that I didn't have a compass. He didn't have one either. I thought you knew the woods. Well, he gave me such a lecture about leaving him. Well, how am I going to find my way back to the truck? I was running the long trail. Well, it's snowing out. I may get off the trail and won't make it back.
Follow your tracks back.
Well, I said that to him. I said, well, follow your track. Yeah, but it's snowing. What happens covers those up? I'm thinking to myself, what a freaking phony you've been all for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now the truth is coming out.
Yeah.
You're terrified, right? I didn't say that to him, but he was. He was absolutely terrified of the woods.
Yeah.
So I went a ways back with him. I said, see, you ain't going to have any problem getting back to the truck. Just follow your tracks. Plus the trail's marked. Just keep looking for that and your tracks will be all set.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
Yep.
But he didn't like me. No, that weren't going to work for him.
Yeah, but now with the invention of everybody's got, OnX or some other kind of a GPS in their pocket.
So that really hurt the big buck population because everybody now they can track and they know how to get back to their
Yeah, really all it did was get rid of the fear.
It did.
Which is the first barrier to entry of somebody who's going to be tracking.
Well, that happened a lot to me back before we had the GPSs because I take people hunting and boy, you could tell. Like a couple of times I was just fooling around, but I said, I don't know if we can get out of here. I'd say something like that.
Yeah.
Boy, that didn't go good. I said, oh, boy.
All right, let's end on this one, Lanny. If you had one last walk in the woods, where would it be, what season, and what would you hope to see?
Oh, it'd be absolutely when the leaves are falling off the trees and it's Indian summer. That's the best time of the year to go walking in the woods. Smells great. Everything's good. Crisp mornings. Pretty everywheres.
Yeah.
That would be the time to do the last walk.
Yeah. What, in late September? Early October?
Well, it just depends on where you're at. North, south, because it changes. But yeah,
Yep.
when it's the prettiest and you're kicking a few leaves around.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting you didn't answer it in deer season.
No.
Yep. Your last walk, you don't even want to be thinking about deer, would you?
Well, no, I would, but I like the fall so much
Yeah.
that I look forward to fall every year.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. All right, well, I got a question for you, and a lot of people don't realize this, and you've never asked this, I don't think, and we've never talked about this. You see, I'm known as one of the best deer hunters around, and I ain't just saying that to brag myself up. I'm leading to a question that you should ask me, but you haven't. And this is kind of interesting. See, everybody thought, and everybody does think, that I live and breathe deer hunt.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do any scouting. I scout when I'm hunting. That's the best time to scout, anyways. But I don't live and breathe deer hunting. That's a fact. What do you think of that?
Well, what's the question you wanted me to ask? Do you live and breathe deer hunting?
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of touched on it because you have so many different passions and things that you got really good at in your life, like the snowmobile racing and the skeet shooting and hunting. And there's a lot of things that you've accomplished that it's really incredible. So I think a lot of people who might know you from deer hunting might not have known about your skeet shooting and your snowmobiling and even being an inventor and you've done a lot of incredible things that I guess I probably just thought people would know that you're a heck of a lot more than just a deer hunter, And outside of those things, what are some other things that you love to do outside of those things that we just mentioned?
Well, I thought I might like to play golf once in a while, but that didn't last long.
Yeah. Well, Shane likes to, right?
Yeah. I played golf 3 times, and no, it's not enough excitement.
Yeah.
No adventures. I like to go fishing once. Well, actually, I grew up fishing my whole life until now. I don't fish much at all. I still like fishing, but
Oh, you went with Rick the other day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun to go fishing. We caught every kind of fish there was,
You did?
Every sport fish was except for the pike or something. We caught bass, caught salmon, brook trout, rainbows, all in the same river.
Yeah.
the hell's up with that?
Well, you got to know your spots.
That brook trout I caught was about that long. It was pretty nice brook trout.
Rick loves fishing. He just fishes a ton.
Right.
Rick loves everything in the outdoors.
Yeah, he's a good fisherman. We just trolled around there and
Yeah.
I caught the smallest rainbow I ever caught. Fit right in the palm of my hand about that. How it got on the bait, I don't know.
Anchovy. Yeah. What about outside of like the sporting world? You know, what are any other hobbies you have that people might not know about?
Well, I like doing carpenter work some. But I don't know, drag racing cars. I love cars. I used to build all kinds. Always had a really fast car. You know, when I say fast car, I mean take that to the extreme fast. In other words, I used to go up on the interstate and see, this is stuff that people don't know about. I used to go up on the interstate and I'd troll for bikes with my car because most cars ain't fast enough. So I'd troll for. The ones I really trolled for was the Hayabusas. I like those because you really shock them when your car does this to them.
Yeah.
So I just go out and troll for them.
Well, you go find them and then see if they wanted to race.
Well, they come along on the highway and you just nod to them. You know, they check that. Sure. What would happen? They always took you lightly the first time.
Yeah.
When you did this to them, when they pulled up side of you, they downshifted further. Now they're ready because they didn't realize they're going to get their butt kicked.
Yeah.
I always like to. One day I ran a Ferrari, and that guy was shocked. Never been beat by a Corvette before. That's when I had a Corvette for a while. Probably the fastest car I ever owned was.
Were you modifying your engines?
Yeah, I built all my own motor.
Yeah.
I got a story to tell you about motor building too. So I built this motor. I went down to this place in Burlington here and had it dynoed. And this is the last time I built it. And the guy said to me, "That oil pan you got there, Lanny, where'd you get that?" I said, "I made it." "You made your oil pan?" "Well, I bought an oil pan. I redid the inside of it." And he said, "Boy, that pan looks like that's good for about 25 horsepower." Which it does. If you build the oil pan right, it don't get tangled up in the crank. It makes a lot more power. I'm not going to get into all that. Who did your intake? Landon and I did. I said, "We understand the air." Okay. So anyways, he dynoed the thing. The first pass on the dyno, see, this is kind of interesting. So he's just revving it up a little bit before we're going to start it. He revved it up to $6,000, 6,100, and it made 844 or something like that. 800 something horsepower. Hadn't even revved it up yet.
Yeah.
I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "You're done right over here? Whatever you've seen for numbers, right?" I said, "Well, look over here." I looked over and I went, "Wow, is this thing going to make when we rev it up some more?" Well, it made 900 horsepower on pump gas. It was one of the last motors I built. And I did it on 93 octane, not race gas. The thing was a missile. Went to the racetrack with it, and I ran 840s, 165 miles an hour in a quarter mile.
Was that the Corvette?
No,
Oh.
it was just another Camaro.
Yeah.
I think about that. Guy from Vermont with a third grade education, had a few things figured out.
Yeah, you can't read, right?
Well, I can read, but I had to teach myself how to read, but I'm not very good at it. Sometimes I'll pass something through. What does that say?
Yeah.
Because you're quicker at it.
Yeah.
I can't make out a check. This is a true story because I can't spell nothing, and I'm handicapped in here somehow. He's punishing me upstairs for drinking too much beer or something. But yeah, I was in the. I can sign checks. My signature's great, but I can't spell anything, and I'm not embarrassed saying that. I'm just handicapped that way, and I grew up with a bad. At first, I grew up with a bad thing about myself. I thought I was way stupider than everybody. But then I started racing, and I started looking at blueprints. Now, it's funny, see, I can't read very good, and I can't spell nothing.
But a schematic.
But you give me a set of blueprint,
Yeah.
I can read it fine.
Yeah.
I can build a house with it. I don't even need blueprints half the time. That house over there that I just built,
Yeah.
I didn't have no blueprints for that.
Yeah. It's up here.
Yeah, I just built it. But anyways, back when I was in my 20s, the framing foreman didn't show up, and they had a big crew there, and he wanted somebody to lead off, and I've been working for this guy for quite a while. And that's why I got my chance at that. I looked at him, I said, you know me, I can take the blueprints, I can lay that all out for everybody. Just give me a shot and you'll see. So everybody was going like, why did they put this young guy to lay all this out and be a framing foreman?
Yeah.
But I can do it. I can read everything on it. It's all clear to me.
Yeah.
Just like looking at this thing.
Yeah.
So I was blessed in some instances and not so good in others. But one of my passions was I always wanted to have a fast car.
Yeah.
So I got another story to tell you, too, and we're going to keep going on this if you don't mind.
Yeah, keep going.
I was in San Air racing in Canada, and I might have told this story before, I don't know. So anyways, I qualified up there number one. This is way back in 71 with my Camaro. I out-qualified all them people from Canada and the United States was up there. Ended up being on the pole. I was 3 miles or 4 miles an hour over the national record and stuff like that. And so this French guy come up to me and wanted to know what speed shop I worked out of. So I looked at him for a minute. I said, Doyard. Doyard speed shop? Never heard of that. I said, driveway. Did you hear that part? Driveway. When it rains, I go in the house.
Yeah.
Then I go back out when it stops to work on my car. And you're this fast and you got no speed shop you worked out of? Nope. So see, I got some other things that I've done in life that I'm pretty proud of.
Of course.
You know, when you go there and I just got done talking to my dad too, you know. Had this lecture, I was lecturing my dad that morning before qualifying started. I says, Pop, I think we're a little over our head here. We have to stiff hitch here. We don't even have a trailer. We're towing it here by stiff hitching it. All these other guys got all these fancy trailers and 10-wheelers are coming in with and all kinds of money. And I said, you know, we're just a couple of poor guys from Vermont come up here to go racing. I think we're in over our head by quite a bit. Well, the fucking car ran so good, we qualified number one. Everybody wanted to know who built the motor.
Well, you guys in Landon seems to be really good at it too now.
Well, the thing was, too, I was the first one to do this. One of the very first one. I was launching at valve float time. In other words, the engine had a valve flow at around 7,400. I was launching it around 7,200 with a 45-pound flywheel. That's why the car was so freaking fast.
Yeah.
You take 45 pounds, you rev it up to 7,000, that weighs tons. So you let the clutch out, the car goes poof.
So when was the last time you were doing that? Have you?
Last time I went drag racing was a few years ago when I built that last motor I built. I went to the racetrack and I ran 840s, 850s with it, 860s at 163, 165.
Do you still feel the need for speed at this point? Like,
I love speed, yeah.
You still?
See, that's the reason I built my car. My last Camaro, I had a 68 Camaro. And the reason I built all these cars like that is because I like an adrenaline rush, you know, it makes a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the car was fast enough on the road. If you took a regular guy and put him in there as a passenger and you floored it, they usually got kind of nervous because the thing was accelerating so freaking hard. Mm-hmm. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
So.
What about on water? Have you ever gone super fast on water, jet skis or boats, or
no?
You just like it on the ground?
No. Well, I just never got interested in water.
Yeah.
But I know I'd have been okay with it. I like the speed. The problem with the car, the last car I built, the problem with that car was that you had to be careful on the interstate because if you put it in second gear, you couldn't floor it right off. You had to go like this with the throttle because it would blow the tires off. And right around 100, you'd feel it go like this and finally catch traction. But you had to make sure the road was flat this way.
Yeah.
Because once you started this stuff, it was going to be hard to catch it. If you didn't catch it, you're going to go whoop, like you see them do on TV. So, but the problem was they accelerated so fast that you could do 160, 70 miles an hour in no time.
Yeah.
And you're cranking.
Yeah.
You don't realize how fast that is until it gets away from you, because if you're not scared of it, you get going too fast.
What's this racetrack that's not too far from here, over the border in Quebec?
Yeah, Naperville.
Yeah, yeah.
Lanny Benoit. That's what they used to call me at that racetrack.
Oh yeah. That's funny too. Somebody at our deer camp back when I first interviewed you read the name and said Benoit. You know.
Oh, he remembers me racing at that track?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, this is a coincidence. So I raced up here in the 60s and 70s, Naperville. And I used to drive up there, Lanny Benoit. So now I go racing snowmobiles in the 80s, and I hear this same voice again, Lanny Benoit from Vermont. I looked him up as the same announcer.
Yeah.
that announced up here, the drag strip.
Yeah.
Now he's announcing at the oval racing.
Yeah.
So he was having fun with that, and I was having fun with that too. Because I was known as Benoit when I raced snowmobiles instead of Benoit, because in French it's Benoit.
Yeah.
And I used to have so many following, I'd hear them chanting and freaking bleachers up there stamping their feet. Benoit, Benoit, Benoit.
Benoit.
They all thought I was French.
Yeah.
You know how the French people are. So the funny part was, after the races, they'd all come down to the pits to talk to me, because I was their favorite racer, because Benoit is French.
Yeah.
So they'd all come down, but I couldn't speak any French.
Yeah.
So I have to have an interpreter. So I kind of disappointed them that way. But yeah,
good.
you want adrenaline rush. I built a lot of cars. So here's another one. So my wife bought an 82 Corvette way back in 93, somewhere's in there, 94. And she bought an 82 Corvette because it looked kind of nice, and that was good. So I drove it, but the damn thing, it just didn't have it, back when they had smog motors. So I built a whole motor for that 82, even though it was my wife's car. So now what happened was, now she'd get in it and it'd be shaking around and didn't drive very good because it souped up too much. So she'd come in and she was all mad at me because I souped her car up too much. She didn't mind a little bit, but she said I ruined the car for her.
Yeah.
So I said to her, and maybe I told this story at the last one, or did I?
I don't know.
So anyway, so this is what I said to her. Listen, and this is how somebody's been looking out for me. See up there?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's been looking out for me.
Yep.
I said, listen, honey, don't worry about that car, that Corvette out in the yard. I just bought a Corvette ticket today. They only sold 100 of them, and I bought a ticket, and I'm going to go win that fucking brand new Corvette for you, so you don't have to worry about that one no more. I know I souped it up and ruined it for you, but you're going to get a new one next month. Well, how do you think you're going to win it? Just because you bought a ticket? This is what I said to her. Well, listen, I've won everything I've done in my whole life. Why can't I win the Corvette?
Yeah.
Guess what? I won the freaking
No
Corvette.
way.
They had the drawing, and I won the thing, handed her the tickets. There you go, dear. She had tears in her eyes coming down. You won the Corvette? I told you I was going to.
That's incredible.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But you see, that's how I keep saying that somebody's looking out for me.
Yeah.
I screwed up with the other one. So the big guy says, hey, don't you worry about it. You got a good heart. We're going to fix you out.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like that too, where I've had some crazy things happen. On my birthday in 2013, I was down in Texas, and I was working for this company, and we had a long weekend, and everybody was very tired, working 18-hour days out in the hot sun. But we're on this beautiful ranch in Texas that's they do hunting out there and stuff. There were deer everywhere we saw the whole time we were there. And everybody goes, oh, Pat, it's your birthday. Everyone's tired. We're just drinking some beer. What do you want to do tonight for your birthday? And And I just said, I want to go catch a deer with my bare hands. Like, kind of jokingly, I'm going to catch a deer with my bare hands tonight. And everyone's like...
Even small ones are dangerous.
Yeah, they're like, no, you won't. You're not going to do that. And I was kind of joking.
Yeah.
But once we left the ranch and we were driving back to our hotel room, I told the girl that was driving us, hey, if we're on the way back, we see any deer, just pull over. I want to at least give it a shot. And and I didn't know if we were going to see any deer or not. But on the way back, sure enough, there's a couple of deer out in this field. And I said, pull over. I didn't have any shoes on. It was working Spartan race. You're just your feet get covered in dirt and sweaty. So I was barefoot. I get out and start walking out into the field. Deer take off. I go to where they were, and there's a fawn there, like you were talking about, head down, trying to hide, like that deer that was hiding from you. And I just picked up that fawn. I was like, I told you guys I would catch a deer with my bare hands today.
Yeah.
And it was just like one of those things.
Yeah, they're cute little things too, ain't they?
Yeah.
Little precious
Oh,
things.
they are awesome. Yeah, I've walked up on them quite a bit since then. I'll never touch another one. I think you're not supposed to do that.
Well, I know.
But that was...
yeah, but they're precious too.
Yeah, they're awesome. Tiny, tiny little feet on them. Yeah. Yeah. Then I won $50,000 on a horse bet. The first day I ever bet on horses. I didn't know I didn't know what I was doing, but I got lucky on that too. You know, there's some things just line up sometimes.
Yeah, they do. And I was lucky to win that Corvette. I still got that car too. Craig's painting it, repainting it.
You still have it, huh? What year is it?
95. On the way back in 95. It was brand new.
Yep, it's back at home. Down at the shop.
That's in Burlington.
Burlington.
Painted it. Yeah, I still got it. She's anxious to go drive it again. But yeah, this way life is.
Yeah.
You look back. You know, about the time that sometimes you think that things are, say things go a little awry for you here and there like it always does.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you look across the street and you see some poor guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So you say to yourself, well, things ain't so bad after all.
Yeah, exactly. Can always be worse.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Lanny. We'll remind everybody about your muzzleloaders that are coming out, although I think you already sold them all, didn't you?
I think I got 8 or 9 left.
8 or 9 left. How does somebody place an order for that?
Just call me.
Yeah.
Send me a check.
Do you want me to put your number on here? Probably not. If somebody wants to get one, why don't you just send me an email, huntsuburbia@gmail.com, and then I'll forward them over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody wants one, just do that. I'm going to keep 3 of them myself. So I'll have one. Here's the reason I'm going to keep number 1, and I got some different numbers, 2 more that I'm going to keep. And that's for somebody that I might have forgot that's a good friend of mine or something, or somebody, you know, like I'm going to give away probably 6 or 7 of those guns for people that's done me favors through the years.
Yeah.
Like I stay at a deer camp in Maine, and they never take no money, won't take no money from me. I always have a place to sleep. The keys are here. I'm going to give one of those to one of those people.
Yep, that's great.
You know, stuff like that. So, but I'm going to keep 3 myself. But I got a bunch that I got to give away. So.
Yep. All right. Well, if you're interested in one of those things, just send me an email. I'll get them in touch with you.
Yep.
A reminder that Lanny's looking for somebody to follow him in the woods. You know, he can't be afraid to get into some hairy situations, or don't be nervous of the woods, and
You will have an adventure.
You guys will have an adventure for sure. So you can contact me at the same email, and I'll get you in touch with Lanny. For that, we've got the OnX Legends Camp opportunity where you can come and share deer camp with Lanny and Rick Labby and Dan Infault. You can enter that online. Go to the huntstockevents.com page, and there's a deer camp giveaway tab there. Hit that, enter your email, you'll be entered to win that. And then we're giving another one away at Huntstock. And Huntstock this year, it's August 8th, 9th, and 10th. in Westminster, Mass. It's the best show we've ever put together. We're 70% ahead on ticket sales right now. There's a lot of people coming. We've got new seminar speakers. Of course, Lanny will be giving seminars, and Rick Labby and Hal Blood, and a lot of the guys that have been there in the past, but we've got 3 new seminar speakers too. Dan Infalt, John Eberhardt, and Barry Wenzel. All 3 great bow hunters, legendary in their own right too, and everyone's looking forward to that. So yeah, come on down, August 8th, 9th, and 10th. Westminster, Mass. You can get tickets online, www.huntstockevents.com. Thanks to OnX. Thanks to Lanny. Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to do that. Someday we got to have it so it lasts longer.
Yeah. Well, we can do another one. And you know what? I had these headphones on so that I could monitor the sound, but I think it kind of throws me off a little bit with my interview, and I don't know when I have the headphones on. Hopefully everybody liked it, but
I think you did a good job.
I think it was good.
You had a lot of questions there that I wasn't even thinking about until you asked.
Yeah, I normally don't do that either. Like, I don't like pre-recorded questions, but I think it worked out fine.
Well, the biggest thing, too, is not repeat what we did before. So
Yeah.
that's a hard one, too.
That's hard to do.
The other one would lasted a while.
Yeah. Well, this one I think lasted a long time. Let's see.
Of course, time goes by when you're having fun.
2 hours and 27 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.